Sometimes people ask me, why am I so productive? How is it that I can write 4 books a year, give 100 talks, run 3 businesses, and do so much stuff of volunteer nature, traveling all over the world? Well, the answer is my organization system. And it's interesting, they interviewed 50 presidents of fast-growing companies in Inc. magazine. And they asked them, what time management system do you use? And 49 out of the 50 used a yellow pad where they write down everything before they start. So what about a BlackBerry? What about a time management system? And what about, no, they just take a sheet of paper and they write down everything they have to do the night before, and they work from their list all day long. And that's why I've been doing it all my life. It's the most powerful time management tool of all. It's clear, it's visible, right there. You add new things onto it. You tick them off as you accomplish them. You roll forward the things you didn't complete to the next day. The amazing time management system of all is a pad of paper, a pen, and you every single day. Are the 2 major sources of value in the world of work today. The first is time, and the second is knowledge. Today, time is the currency of modern business. The most important measure of time is duration, or speed. The most important quality that you can develop with regard to time is a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency is the habit of moving fast when an opportunity presents itself to you. Develop a bias for action. Fast tempo is essential to success. All successful people not only work hard, but they work fast. Now, everyone must stay focused on reducing the amount of time that it takes to get the same results. Customers will pay dearly for anyone who can reduce the time needed to get them the products and services that they want. People will pay more for someone who can satisfy their needs faster than someone else. And especially when it comes to managing your time, when it comes to looking at what you should do on a day-to-day basis, focus on results, productivities. You will always have too much to do in too little time. They say the average person has about 300 hours of projects to take care of right now. Books to read, magazines, newspapers, projects at home, work, and everything else. The fact is you will never get caught up. So what they have found, and this is one of the great secrets of time management, is that you only get your life under control to the degree to which you stop doing things. And to repeat that, you stop doing things. Now, what are the things that you stop doing? Well, the easiest way to set priorities and to determine this is to use the 80-20 rule. That if you make a list of 10 things that you have to do each day, 2 of those items will be worth more than all the other 8 put together. The top 20% of activities account for 80% of your results. So you have to say to yourself, what are the 1 or 2 things on this list that are more important than anything else? And of all of these things, if I could only do 1 thing before I was called out of town for a month, which 1 thing would I be sure to get done today? And that becomes your number 1 priority. Now, over the years, the ability to set priorities, and I have written books on time management. I've trained hundreds of thousands of people in time management. My audio and video programs on time management are in multiple languages worldwide. And everything comes down to 1 thing, is selecting your most important task right now and starting on it right now, and then disciplining yourself to stay on it until it's done. If you make the mistake of trying to clear up small things first, you'll find that the small things multiply, and pretty soon you spend your whole day doing little things. Sometimes people ask me, why am I so productive? How is it that I can write 4 books a year, give 100 talks, run 3 businesses, and do so much stuff of volunteer nature, traveling all over the world? Well, the answer is my organization system. I began to study time management. I've studied time management now for 15 years. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on the subject of the libraries of books. I've been to countless courses. I've listened to all the audio cassettes. I've bought and used every time planner that's ever been made with regard to time management. And I found that there's a core element in time management, and it is the element of priorities. And I think that the ability to focus and concentration are the 2 keys to success in life. That the ability to focus clearly and know exactly what it is you want to accomplish, and the ability to concentrate single-mindedly on accomplishing that 1 thing without diversion or distraction are the keys to success. It's the number 1 key to effectiveness, is to be able to sit down and look at your work and use the 80-20 rule. Say to yourself, which is the 20% of the number of things that I have to do that account for 80% of the value of my work. And always work on the top 20%. You see, in life, there's never enough time to do everything, but there's always enough time to do the important things. Instead of doing what is fun and easy, which is what most people do. You know what they do? They make a list of everything they have to do. And then they start at the bottom of the list and they work on the irrelevant things. At the end of the day, they haven't got anything done. Successful people, peak performers, concentrate on the top items. And remember, anything other than working on the top items on your list is a waste of your time. And time management, not just time management is life management. You can do anything you want with your life if you'll manage your time properly. We all have the same 24 hours a day, and the ability to concentrate, to discipline yourself, to use willpower and perseverance, to concentrate on one thing at a time is a quality of all success. Nothing great has ever been accomplished without the ability to concentrate single-mindedly on one thing at a time. Always concentrate on the best use of your time. There's probably no skill that's more closely correlated with success and achievement in every part of your life than the ability to manage your time well. It'll bring you to the attention of your superiors faster. It'll help you to get more done in a shorter period of time. It'll make you feel better about yourself. It'll lead to faster promotions, higher status, greater pay, and everything. Time management is essential to your health as well. Not just your productivity, but you only feel good about yourself to the degree to which you feel you're in control of your time and your life. In fact, a major reason for stress in America is a feeling of being out of control, a feeling of having too much to do and too little time to do it in. Here is my favorite time management question, which I give to you for free. It's simply this. Before you start anything, ask yourself, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Make a list and say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? When you get into your car, say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? When you leave the house or leave the office, say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Ask yourself that question over and over and over again. Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until it's driven into the subconscious mind as a command. And whenever you have a temptation to do something that is small and irrelevant, that command will go, blam, what is the most valuable use of your time right now? And you'll, ooh, and it'll push you into doing what is the most valuable use of your time. And whenever you're working on the most valuable use of your time, you feel great. You get concentrated effort is a source of energy and enthusiasm. It makes you feel wonderful when you're working on something important, and it makes you feel nothing when you're working on something irrelevant. Now, procrastination is not only the thief of time, it is also the thief of life. To outperform your competition, both inside and outside your organization, you must develop a time management habit of moving quickly when something needs to be done. You must develop a reputation for speed and dependability. The wonderful advantage of developing a sense of urgency and the habit of moving fast is that the faster you move, the better you get. This is because the faster you move, the more experience you get. The faster you move, the more you learn, and the more confident you become. The faster you move, the more energy and enthusiasm you have. People who move fast as a way of life soon develop a totally different temperament and personality than people who move slowly or who take a casual attitude toward their work. My friend Jim Rohn used to say, casualness brings casualties. In its simplest terms, successful people are more productive than unsuccessful people. Successful people have better habits. They dream bigger dreams. They work from written goals. They stay focused on what they need to get done. They do what they love to do, and they concentrate on getting better and better at it. They use their natural abilities to the fullest. They're continually generating ideas to solve problems and to achieve company goals. They focus on using every minute of their time to get maximum results. Develop a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency is a quality that is possessed by only 2% of the population. 2% of the population do things fast. 2% of the population have a bias for action. In Tom Peters' wonderful book, In Search of Excellence, he says all the excellent companies have a bias for action. And all of the companies that do not classify or not commit to the excellence category do things when they get around to it. You call them up and you have a problem or a complaint. You hear from them 3 or 4 weeks later. But the excellent companies, you call up with a problem or complaint, bang, there's somebody back to you in 2 minutes. If you ever want an experience, call IBM, call Hewlett-Packard, and say, I'm having a problem getting some information. I'm having a problem with my... They say, they won't let you off the phone until they've taken care of it. You call the other companies, they'll say, it's not my job. They say, the guy who takes care of that isn't here. When will he be back? I don't know. Can you take a message? I don't have a pencil. I don't know. You've spoken to those people? And then they can't understand why they're struggling. You know that 20% of the companies make 80% of the profits in every industry. Interestingly enough, so develop a sense of urgency. Get the reputation as the person who does things fast. Develop a reputation for speed and dependability, and your future will just open up in front of you. Imagine that you own a company, and you've had two people in the company, and both of them were reasonably well talented, both of them were doing reasonably well, except one person had a sense of urgency and did things fast, and every time you give them something to do, they took it and they ran with it like a ball player catching a fumble and running for the goal line. The other person got to it after lunch, or maybe next Monday, or no rush, week's almost over, Thursday afternoon, and so on. Which one would you give additional responsibility to? Which one would you promote? Which one would you spend money training? Which one would you send places where you needed help? It's always the person with a sense of urgency. I can tell you this, that the sense of urgency for me has been worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. As a consultant, I have been able to save my clients sometimes millions of dollars by acting fast when they've given me a project to take care of. Whereas if I had acted even a day later, it could have cost a fortune. And if you'll develop that habit of working fast, that sense of urgency, act now, do it now, do it now, do it now. In selling especially. Somebody calls you up and has a question, get back to them now. Somebody has a problem, get back to them now. Somebody needs something, move on it quickly. If you have to forego coffee breaks or lunch or something else, move fast. If you develop that reputation for speed, it will be worth a fortune to you. Takes a little while, but it's a habit. Most people just sort of shuffle through life. You know, they get to it when they feel like it. But all the excellent people, all the high performers have a sense of urgency. I want to give you 4 time management tips for work-life balance. The time management behaviors are very much a matter of choice. You choose to be efficient or you choose to be disorganized. You choose, focus and concentrate on your highest value tasks, or you choose to spend your time on activities that contribute very little to your life. You choose to be positive or you choose to be negative, and you're always free to choose. Now, the starting point of overcoming your previous programming and eliminating the mental blocks to time management is for you to make a clear, unequivocal decision to become excellent at the way you use your time. You must decide right here and now that you are going to become an expert in time management to improve the quality of your life. Your aim should be to manage your time so well that people look up to you and use you as a role model for their own work habits. There are 4 time management methods that you can use to program yourself for peak performance to improve your work-life balance. Here they are. The first of these methods for programming your subconscious mind is positive self-talk, or the use of positive affirmations. These are commands that you pass from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. Positive affirmations are statements that you say either out loud or you say to yourself, but with the same emotion and enthusiasm that drives the words into your subconscious mind as new operating instructions. So to improve your time management, you can continually repeat positive affirmations such as, I have beautiful work-life balance, or I concentrate easily on my highest payoff task. My favorite time management affirmation is, I use my time well. I use my time well. I use my time well. And I repeat this to myself over and over again. When you repeat positive affirmations over and over, they're eventually accepted by your subconscious mind as part of your new programming. You'll then find that your external behaviors will start to reflect your internal programming to improve your work-life balance and quality of life. Now, the second technique that you can use to program your subconscious mind is through visualization. Mental pictures most immediately influence your subconscious mind. In self-image psychology, the person you see is the person you will be through positive affirmations and clear mental pictures. So begin to see yourself as well-organized and efficient and effective in time management. Recall and recreate memories and pictures of yourself when you were performing at your best, when you felt very efficient, effective, and in control. Think of a time when you were working efficiently and effectively and getting through an enormous amount of work. Play this picture over and over to yourself in the screen of your subconscious mind until your subconscious mind accepts this as your reality. Now, the third time management technique is simple. Sit or lie in a quiet place where you can be completely alone in the silence. Through positive affirmations, imagine yourself going through an important upcoming experience, such as a meeting or a presentation, or a negotiation, or even a date that would improve the quality of your life. As you sit or lie completely relaxed, create a picture of the coming event and see it unfolding perfectly in every respect, like a movie of your mind. See yourself as calm and positive and in complete control. See the other people doing and saying exactly what you would want them to do if the situation was perfect. The fullest mental technique will change the quality of your life through experience of time management. Imagine that you have been selected for a role in a movie or stage play. In this role, you are to act part of a person who is extremely well organized in every respect. As you go through your daily life, imagine you are an actor who is playing this part, who is already very good at time management. Act as if you are already using your time efficiently and well. Pretend that you are an expert in personal efficiency and time management. Take it until you make it. When you pretend that you are excellent in time management, eventually the action, which is under your direct control, will develop the mindset or the belief in your subconscious mind. In other words, you can act yourself into feeling and believing yourself to be excellent in time management. The Greeks said that moderation in all things is the key to a happy life. Moderation. Now, sometimes people say, well, I don't have time for my family. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time for this and time for that. Whenever you find yourself getting out of sync with regard to balance, and especially when you feel that you don't have the time, is when you most need to stop and think. So here's the question to ask. What would I do if I only had 6 months to live? If you find yourself working too hard or not spending time in your relationship, not spending time with the people you care about and who care about you, then ask yourself, what would I do if I only had 6 months to live? And if what you would do is you'd spend more time with the important people in your life, the time to start spending that time is now. So what would you do if you had 6 months to live? You know, it's an old joke that doctors say is that they never met a businessman on his deathbed who said, boy, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. But fact of the matter is that balance and moderation in all things increases your productivity, increases your efficiency. And remember, the only reason you're working is so that you can enjoy the great things of life, which are your people, your relationship, things that make you happy, and so on. Imagine that you are financially independent, that you have 20 million pounds in the bank, and simultaneously, you only have 10 years to live. You're going to enjoy a superb house, but you have all the money that you need, and you have to work at something. You cannot be a layabout. So therefore, you could work at Kenny. You had all the money you needed, and you didn't want to waste any time. What career would you? If you could wave a magic wand and have all the talent and skill that you need to be successful in any field, what field would you choose for yourself? And then what you do is you just start to do some research on it. Work in it part-time, work in it career, read books and courses, talk to people who are in it. And I have spoken to literally thousands of people over the years who did that and eventually changed out of their current job, sometimes within their same company. It's out of their current job where they weren't very satisfied into a new job that they loved, and they became a star at that name. Firstly, everybody, I'm going to give you a law. This is my favorite law, time management. And it's called the law of three. And this law alone will enable you to be one of the most productive, successful people in your world. The law of three is based on my 30 years of study into time management. And what it basically says is that if you make a list of everything that you have to do in a week or a month, you'll come up with 20 or 30. Some people write down 40 or 50 tasks, activities. But if you look at this list, you'll find there's only 3 activities that you engage in your life that account for 90% of the value you contribute in your life. Wherever you are in life, there's only 3 things that account for 90% of your happiness. Only 3 things. This law of 3 works everywhere. That works for everyone. It works if you're a doctor or an investment banker or a salesperson or a business owner or a student. ever is always. And so what you do is you take a list of everything you do, and then you ask 3 questions. Question number 1 is that if I could only do one thing on this list all day long, which one activity would have the greatest positive impact on my life? Or you could say, if I could only do one activity all day long, which one activity would help me to double my income faster than anything else? And that answer is usually the obvious. They put a circle. And then you ask it again. If I could only do 2 things all day long, what would be the second most valuable thing that I could do? To your list, come up with number 2. And then you ask the question the 3rd time. If I could only do 3 things all day long, what would be number 2? And you're... Now, I put every one of my students through this exercise, and they're all astonished, because in a few minutes, they see clearly these are the 3 most important things that they do in achieving their goals: health, wealth, and happiness. And so the rule is this, is do fewer things in your daily life, but do more important things. And do them more of the time, and then get better, improve in each one of those areas. So in your life, there's 3 things that you do that are more important than everything else. And these will change over time. You must be clear about those 3 things, and if you start working on only those 3 things, you will double your productivity, performance, output very quickly. If you can concentrate on the 3 most important things you do. Well, there's 4 requirements for you to make these techniques work for you. We call these the 4 Ds. The first D is desire. It's want. You must have a burning desire to be effective at time management. The second D is decision. You must make a decision that you are going to become an expert in the subject. You are going to take this course, you're going to use these materials, you're going to practice them over and over again, because what we have found is in the absence of a decision, nothing ever happens. You need a clear, unequivocal, do-or-die, burn-the-bridges decision that this is a subject that you are going to master. The third D is discipline. You must discipline yourself to practice and repeat over and over again good time management techniques. In fact, we say that time management is self-discipline in action. And the ability to discipline yourself more than anything else is going to determine your success in life. And the fourth D, to become excellent in time management, is determination. You must have the ability to persist. You must have the determination to keep on keeping at it, long enough, so you become very, very good in this deal. But I promise you this, the payoff is tremendous, because you see, time management is really life management. Everything that you do to improve the quality of your time management will improve and enhance every part of your life. You can even say it this way: the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your time management. The quality of your life will be determined by the way you use your time minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, because your time is your life. In every single study of high-performing men and women, we find that intense result orientation goes hand in hand with big payoffs in life. You see, it's not how much time you put in or the activities that you engage in or how sincere or how intelligent or competent or capable or anything else. It's only what you produce, the results that you get from the time that you put in, that counts in determining your rewards, not only your psychic rewards, how good you feel about yourself, but your financial rewards. They're always paid in direct proportion to the quality and the quantity of the results that you produce. Point number one is that your rewards in life will always equal your results. As we call this the law of sowing and reaping, the law of cause and effect. That the cause of everything that happens to you is your ability to get results, and these are your rewards. If you want to increase the quality and quantity of your rewards, you have to think all the time about increasing the quality and quantity of your results. Now, the second point is this, is that most people are very unproductive. Most people cannot do a full day's work if their life depended upon it. In fact, every study that I've ever seen suggests that the average person works at only 50% of capacity. In fact, in most work environments, about 30% of all the work time is spent in socializing, gossiping, wasting time, talking, chit-chatting, hanging around the water fountain, reading the newspaper, drinking coffee, and so on. What does it mean to you? It means if the average person is working at 50% or less of capacity, there are tremendous opportunities for you, if you'll do some of the things that we talk about, to rapidly move ahead of other people. Starting point of getting things done is the quality of neatness. The quality of neatness means that you start with a clean desk and you end with a clean desk. You start with a clean briefcase and you end with a clean briefcase. You take the time to make sure that your entire working environment looks neat, professional, and productive, effective. Remember this. It's not just what you do, but it's the perception of other people of what you do that counts. I read a story by a self-made millionaire who said that he built 5 successful companies, and one of their critical rules was that every single person get a clean desk. Now, the fourth key in getting things done is the importance of focus. Focus, which leads to clarity. Now, we talk about this over and over again. Focus means that you're absolutely clear about what you're trying to accomplish. Focus means that you're absolutely clear about your key result areas and why you're on the payroll. We say that fuzzy focus leads to fuzzy results. Clear focus leads to clear results. And this means that you take the time to think. You take the time to think through, why am I on the payroll? What have I been hired to accomplish? What are my key result areas? What are my core functions? What are the 20% of the things that I do that account for 80% of my results? So on. The starting point in getting things done is focus, clarity. I call this it's like adjusting the camera all the time so you keep your focus very, very clear. Well, the next key principle is concentration. Concentration is what you do, is once you've decided the most important idea to achieve your most important goal, then you have to concentrate single-mindedly on one thing until it's complete. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, richest man in the world and the third richest, were at a dinner party at Bill Gates' home last year. And there were about 100 guests, and they were standing around at the reception. John, and these 3 men, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Bill Gates' father, good friends, and so they were standing talking. And one of the other guests came up and said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, you are the most important people in the world. What would you say is the most important key to success today?" And they stopped talking, and they all turned, and they said, "Focus. Focus is the most important quality for success." We're so surrounded by so many distractions of so many kinds that the ability to focus is more important for success than any other quality. Now, I developed a philosophy when I was young and broke. And the philosophy was that if rich, successful people tell you to do something, you should do it. If they tell you that this is a key to their success, then you should at least practice it for a while to see if it applies to you. What I have learned, and what I learned coaching my clients, the business owners, I taught them how to focus. I taught them how to select specific goals and activities in each area of their life, and how to focus like a laser beam on one goal at a time. If you can do that, you can conquer the world. Now, concentration is, in reality, where all the work in time management leads us to. It is the ability to concentrate 100% on one thing, setting priorities the most important thing, and to stay with that single task until it's finished. Concentration means moving forward in a straight line toward the goals and objectives that you've clearly identified. It means concentrating without diversion or distraction. Focus, concentration. I believe in 25 years of research, the reasons for success and happiness in life are focus and concentration. The reasons for a lack of success and unhappiness are lack of focus, lack of concentration. I have found the most important time management or personal productivity principle of all, and it is this, is make a list of everything you do in the morning before you start work, and then select the one item on that list more important than any others in terms of potential consequence. And then start on that one task, and then work on it 100% of the time until it's complete. Now, if you could do that, you can double and triple your productivity, become one of the highest paid and most respected people in your world. Select your most important task. Start on it immediately. Work on it 100% of the time until Because here's what I discovered in 30 years of studying and writing books on time management is that task place. It is not task you work on, but it's only the task. Like if you're a student, it's completing your assignment. They're required. If you're a salesperson, it's completing the sale. If you're a business person, it's completing different transactions. Everything in life is completing tasks. Here's the wonderful payoff. When you complete an important task, it gives you an increased sense of self-esteem and personal power. Your self-confidence goes up. You get more energy and more ideas. You feel happy about yourself. Whenever you complete a task, your brain gives you a rush, loud endorphins. And endorphins make you happy and more alert and more creative. They strengthen your immune system so that you're never sick. So you'll find that what successful people do is they're always starting and completing tasks. And especially they start and complete them on time. Now what does this require? Requires our old friend and enemy, self. Now what we know about task completion is that not only is it the key to the future, not only is it the key to getting more and greater and better opportunities, but important task completion, doing something that's important to you and carry it through and finishing the 100% at the end is a source of energy, enthusiasm, and high self-esteem. Men and women who are working consistently on getting important things done and staying with to their complete are more positive, they're more optimistic, they're more self-confident, they have more belief in self-assurance in themselves, and they get more opportunities to complete more tasks. Now here's the flip side. Is completing low-priority tasks leads to stress. If you work and you get a lot of little things done, but they're not moving you toward the accomplishment of things that are really important to you, what happens is you just feel crumbing as a result. We find that the average German average French person looks about 1,600 hours a year. Average executive or business owner works about 2,000 hours. So what you do is you take your annual income and you divide it by 2,000. So let's say you're earning 100,000 pounds. Divided by 2,000, that means that you're earning 50 pounds an hour. This is your hourly rate. You can include all your benefits. But whatever it is, let's say your hourly income is 50 pounds an hour. That means, by law, David Ricardo, the British economist, law of comparative advantage, is you don't do anything that pays less than $50 an hour. You only do things that pay you $50 an hour or more, or that people would pay you 50 quid an hour or more to do it. And everything else you delegate. If there's something that someone else can do for 10 pounds an hour, you hire somebody to do that. 20 pounds an hour, 30 pounds an hour. You keep hiring people who can do things, tasks, at a lower hourly rate than job. Here's the great discovery, and this again is life-changing. I call it the law of three. The law of three says that no matter how many things you do, how many tasks you do in a week or a month, and it's usually 20 or 30. 3 of those tasks account for 90% of your value. Only 3. And you make a list of all of your tasks, and I did this with my business owner, and I have them go through this, and they're astonished. And they double their income within 30 days. Because I asked them the 3 magic questions. Magic question number 1. If you could only do one thing on this list, one task on this list all day long, which one task have the greatest positive impact on your career? It's one task. Well, you think. We'll jump at it. See, pretty simple. You say if you could only do 2 things all day long, which would be number 2? You put a circle around that. If you could only do 3 things all day long, which would be number 3? Put a circle around that. And suddenly it's almost like all these other tasks fade. Like in a camera shoot in a movie, fade, and those 3 tasks are sitting there. Those 3 magic tasks, and you realize, oh my God, those are the my 3. Everything else is secondary. Everything else can be done by someone else, done later, or not done at all. And then you focus on the 3. Here's the rule for doubling your income, and doubling again, and doubling again. Do fewer things, but do more important things. And do them more often and get better at them. Repeat. Do fewer things, the big 3. Do a more important thing. Do more of them. Spend more of your day working on those 3 tasks. Then get better at those tasks. So you can get more of them done faster at a higher level of quality. If you will practice the law of 3, transform your life. If you combine that with the eat the frog and work on your most important, the one that you get the most tired, and you can do that until it becomes a habit, just automatic. You get up in the morning and you just start to work on your most important task, and you say, no, I don't do that. I don't do little tasks. It was not my job. People say, what about this, what about that? I say, excuse me, that is I do manage it. I do my big tree. Neighbor does all the stuff. So you, person who's watching this right now, is your management. Wait, but think of yourself as management and do your 3 tasks. You can do that until it becomes a habit. You're going to conquer the world. All of us, over the course of our lives, want to develop character. And character has been defined several ways. One definition I like is that character is the ability to follow through on a resolution after the enthusiasm with which the resolution was made has passed. So taking this course, by the way, you will make a lot of decisions and commitments and resolutions. The true measure of character is whether or not you have the capacity to follow through it. Character, in effect, is self-discipline in action. Character is self-discipline in action. You can tell how much character you have by how willing you are to discipline yourself to make the sacrifices that are necessary in the short term to have a great life in the long term. Years ago, I began to study the subject of time management. Yes, I thought it was a very helpful subject, but I was amazed at how much there was in time management. I then introduced programs and books, and my books on time management are now the best-selling in the world, 40 languages. But what I learned was a concept, and the concept was called consequences. Consequences, I found, is one of the most important words in our world. And the reason is that time management, something is important to the degree to which it has very potential consequences. And something is unimportant to the degree to which it has one or no consequences. He has the greatest consequences of all. In fact, if you look at people who are successful and people who are unsuccessful, successful people do things that have greater long-term consequences. And unsuccessful people do things that have lower consequences. Instead, he has the greatest thoughts of all. And especially the way you think about your time and your life. And if you think more effectively, if you think more positively, if you think more constructively about yourself, your time, your life, your activities, your relationships, your work, and so on, you actually improve them all. The first thing I want to talk about is what is called the development of a personal philosophy of time. A personal philosophy of time. Now, personal philosophy of time also means a personal philosophy of life. What is life? What does it mean? What does it stand for? And in life, there are 2 basic worldviews, and basically the opposite ends of the pole, and sometimes we fall in the middle. But the first worldview is a benevolent worldview. You can look at benevolent worldview are those who have a positive mental attitude, generally speaking, toward themselves and their life. They believe in their own potential. They believe in love and life and beauty. They believe in growing to the realization of their full capabilities. They believe that life is pretty good and that they can have a major impact. They can make a contribution and do something substantial with their life. People with a benevolent worldview are the movers and shakers and the builders of a bad time. Now, the other type of people are those who have a malevolent worldview. These are people who have a negative mental attitude, if you like. And they have, first of all, a negative mental attitude toward themselves. They have a negative mental attitude toward other people, toward the world. They see injustice and oppression. They see unhappiness and misery. They see unfairness and people having a hard life. They have a tendency to be angry and to have low self-esteem. But all these, a malevolent worldview requires someone or something else to blame, someone or something to criticize, something to be down on. That's why you find that people with a malevolent worldview are always in opposition, or if you like, in conflict with people with a benevolent worldview. In order for you to achieve your potential, remember the most important people, the most productive people, the most creative people are always those who have a benevolent, positive, constructive worldview, and that's your goal. The number one reason why some people get more work done faster is because they are absolutely clear about their goals and objectives, and they don't deviate from them. The more clear you are about what it is you want and what you have to do to achieve it, the easier it is for you to overcome procrastination, eat your frog, and get on with the completion of the task. A major reason for procrastination Lack of motivation is vagueness, confusion, and fuzzy-mindedness about what you are supposed to do and in what order and for what reason. You must avoid this common condition with all your strength by striving for ever greater clarity in everything you do. You need to persevere and persist single-mindedly toward the completion of your important task, because we say that the ability to concentrate is a discipline, and perseverance or persistence is self-discipline in action. You see, anybody can start off to do a job, but your ability to keep in there and keep slogging and stay with it and refuse to budge and keep moving is the critical factor of high performance. Remember that the average person, especially executives, pick up an important piece of paper or task as many as 5 times before they actually complete work on the task. What does this mean? It means that if you pick up the task and you focus single-mindedly on that, and it's your most important, and you concentrate on it until it's complete, you can give yourself a 500% savings in time or increase in productivity. This has been proven in study after study after study, that the fastest way to increase your output is to pick up a task and to stay with that task instead of picking it up and coming back and picking it up and coming back and so on. The 80-20 rule is one of the most helpful of all concepts of time and life management. It's also called the Pareto principle after its founder, the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who first wrote about it in 1895. Pareto noticed that people in his society seemed to divide naturally into what he called the vital few, the top 20% in terms of money and influence, and the trivial many, the bottom 80%. He later discovered that virtually all economic activity was subject to this Pareto principle as well. For example, this rule says that 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. 20% of your customers will account for 80% of your sales. 20% of your products or services will account for 80% of your profits. 20% of your tasks will account for 80% of the value of what you do, and so on. This means that if you have a list of 10 items to do today, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth as much or more than all the other 8 items put together. The law of comparative advantage is an economic law that says that you should always hire or pay someone else to do something that can be done if they can be paid a lower hourly rate than the rate that you desire. Listen, if your goal is to earn $25 an hour, and it costs $6 an hour to mow your lawn or wash your car, you should always hire someone to do that. You should always pay someone else at a lower hourly rate so that you can free up your time to perform higher value activity. All of companies and organizations are designed around this. The individual starts off doing everything, and then as the company becomes busier and more successful, what the individual does is they hire people to do lower value activity so you can spend more time doing higher value activity. Don't ever do $5 an hour work if you want to earn $25 an hour. Don't ever work on low value activities if you want to earn the results that come from completing high value activity. Remember, time is the one irreplaceable, indispensable resource of accomplishment. Is that all accomplishment, all achievement requires time. And if you use it on something of low value, it's gone forever, it's perishable, and you don't have it to work on things that are really important for you. Here's an interesting discovery. Each of these tasks may take the same amount of time to accomplish, but 1 or 2 of these tasks will contribute 5 or 10 times the value of any of the others. Often, 1 item on a list of 10 tasks that you have to do can be worth more than all the other 9 items put together. This task is invariably the frog that you should eat first. Can you guess on which items the average person is most likely to procrastinate? You're right. The sad fact is that most people procrastinate on the top 10 or 20% of items that are the most valuable and important, the vital few. They busy themselves instead with the least important 80%, the trivial many, that contribute very little to results. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they are working on tasks that are of low value. While they procrastinate on the 1 or 2 activities, it could make a real difference to their companies and to their careers. The most valuable tasks you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex. But the payoff and rewards for completing these tasks efficiently can be tremendous. For this reason, you must adamantly refuse to work on tasks in the bottom 80% while you still have tasks in the top 20% left to be done. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities or in the bottom 80%? And here's a rule for success. Resist the temptation to clear up small things first. Remember, whatever you choose to do over and over again eventually becomes a habit that's hard to break. If you choose to start your day on low-value tasks, you'll soon develop the habit of always starting and working on low-value tasks. This is not the kind of habit you want to develop or keep. You need to look at everything that you're expected to do based on your hourly wage. Did you design an hourly wage as 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or $50 an hour? Then you ask yourself, is what I am doing now paying my hourly wage? Is what I'm doing now worth my hourly wage? Well, ask yourself this way. When you're reading the newspaper or watching television or sitting around socializing, would you pay another person your hourly wage to engage in this activity? How much would you pay per hour to have a person watch television for you? When you're watching television, you should ask yourself, how much would I pay per hour to watch this television show? The average person doesn't realize that the amount of time that they spend watching television is in itself, if it was used to upgrade your skills and abilities, it's in itself enough to make you rich over the course of your working lifetime. A television can cost you thousands of dollars, even tens of thousands of dollars a year, if you don't think about the fact that when you're watching television, you're not doing something that is increasing your productivity. The hardest part of any important task is getting started on it in the first place. Once you actually begin work on a valuable task, you seem to be naturally motivated to continue. A part of your mind loves to be busy working on significant tasks that can really make a difference. Your job is to feed this part of your mind continually. Just thinking about starting and finishing an important task motivates you and helps you to overcome procrastination. The fact is that the amount of time required to complete an important job is often the same as the time required to do an unimportant job. The difference is that you get a tremendous feeling of pride and satisfaction from the completion of something of valuable and significant. However, when you complete a low-value task, using the same amount of time and energy, you get little or no satisfaction at all. Time management is really life management, personal management. It's really taking control of the sequence of events. Time management is control over what you do next. And you are always free to choose the task that you will do next. Your ability to choose between the important and the unimportant is the key determinant of your success in life and work. Effective, productive people discipline themselves to start on the most important task that is before them. They force themselves to eat that frog, whatever it is. They accomplish vastly more than the average person and are much happier as a result. This should be your way of working as well. Time management is a lifelong skill. It's a lifelong commitment. It's not something that you learn and that you put aside. Time management is a discipline, but it's like physical exercise. It's like eating. It's like sleeping. It's like hygiene, brushing your teeth. You have to work on it continuously. Every single day you have to get up and you have to think consciously about how you're going to manage your time, how you're going to use it today. Remember, time is life. So you have to think continually about how you're going to use your life more effectively. The key of time management is to take the short view, which means to measure out your time in minutes. We find the most productive people in our society, the most important, the most prominent, are those who are the most fastidious about their time management. They measure out their time in 10-minute chunks like accountants and lawyers and doctors, whereas unsuccessful people measure out their time in half days and full days. Wait, but take the short view. Be fastidious about your time. Following that is know where your time goes. Know where your time goes. Take the time to think. Know where your time goes so that you can ask yourself if this is how you want to spend your time. Analyze it. Keep a list of how you spend your time. Look at it. Ask yourself all the time, is this consistent with what I want to do and what I often want to accomplish? Just say no if a particular activity does not contribute to the highest value use of your time. Just say no if something is not helping you. Use the techniques of delay in order to gain time to think about whether or not you want to do something. One of the best techniques I've ever used and discovered is what is called the 24-hour technique. No matter what anybody wants you to do, ask for 24 hours to think about it. Think about it overnight. Think about it over the weekend. Think about how you're going to say no, and just say no to anything that does not contribute to accomplishing things that are important to you. Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard University studied success for years and years in this context. He said, one of the characteristics of people that cause them to move up socioeconomically in the course of their lifetime, are the predictors of upward social evolution. And what he found out was that long-time perspective was the critical factor. That this is an attitude. When people with long-time perspective, as we mentioned briefly before, are those who take a look at where they are now and where they're going to be in 20 years. And then make sure that everything that they're doing today is going to help them in the long term. They're willing to work hard today, knowing that the payoff will come much, much later. Now, as you grow up socioeconomically, you find that people's time perspective stretches out further and further. But develop the long view. Now, when we say that from the long view, we mean that people with the long view are willing to sacrifice in the short term for benefits in the long term. They're willing to study and prepare and plan and work. They're willing to practice the law of accumulation, which says that every great achievement is an accumulation of hundreds and thousands of efforts that a person puts in that nobody ever sees, but a person is willing to do it, realizing that the payoff will be tremendous. Taking a time management course or program and learning these things is an investment of time with a payoff that can last for a long time. But the third key, which comes out of the long view, is the ability to delay gratification. Economists agree that the number one reason why people or even economies fail is because of the inability to delay gratification. They want to spend all of their time, all of their money now. They want to have fun and do what is fun and easy rather than what is hard and necessary. Good morning, dear friends. I invite you to take a moment to pause and contemplate the boundless potential that lies within the next 24 hours. Today is not just another ordinary day. It is a canvas waiting to be painted with the vibrant colors of possibility, adventure, and serendipity. As you sit here, surrounded by the gentle hum of life unfolding around you, I want you to know that something truly extraordinary is on the horizon for each and every one of you. Imagine, if you will, that the universe has conspired to bring forth a series of events, encounters, and revelations that are tailor-made for your growth, fulfillment, and joy. Picture yourself walking through the day with a heightened sense of awareness, eagerly anticipating the magical moments that await you at every turn. Whether it's a chance encounter with a long-lost friend, an unexpected opportunity that propels you closer to your dreams, or a sudden insight that illuminates the path ahead, something extraordinary is poised to make its grand entrance into your life today. But here's the secret. You must be open to receiving it. You must approach the day with a sense of wonder, curiosity, and receptivity, ready to embrace whatever gifts the universe has in store for you. Set aside any doubts or limitations that may be holding you back, and instead, allow yourself to bask in the infinite possibilities that abound in every moment. As you journey through the day, I encourage you to pay attention to the subtle whispers of the universe, the synchronicities, the signs, and the nudges that gently guide you toward your highest good. Trust in the wisdom of the universe and know that everything that happens today is happening for you, not to you. So, my friends, let us embark on this adventure together with open hearts and open minds. Let us greet the day with a sense of excitement and anticipation, knowing that something extraordinary is just around the corner. Get ready to welcome the magic into your life, for today is your day, and something truly remarkable is going to happen to you. You're extraordinary. You're unique. The odds of there being someone exactly like you are more than 50,000 million to 1. Every part of your body, according to anatomists, physiologists, and doctors, is different from anyone else who has ever lived. Your fingerprints are unique. Even your footprints and earprints are different. You are unlike anyone else. Self-knowledge begins by accepting that you are a unique and special individual and that you have the ability to do something wonderful with your life. That said, you are also like everyone else in relation to certain basic principles. Throughout human history, the smartest men and women who have ever lived have sought answers to the question of the human dilemma. What can people do to change the quality of their lives, their relationships, and their results? Great philosophers, metaphysicians, and scholars have pondered this, sometimes for their entire lives. In this century, I know men and women who have spent 10, 20, 30, 40, and even 50 years studying success and achievement to discover rules and general principles that we can apply to be more successful. The first thing we must begin with in this whole course, the psychology of achievement, is that you are a mental being. The only thing that truly makes you unique is your mind. Everything else you share with a horse or a pig. Your mind is what makes you unique. Your body simply carries your mind around, just as electricity follows laws of electricity, physics follows laws of physics, and nature follows laws of nature. There are certain mental laws that determine everything that happens to you. These mental laws are as inexorable as the laws of gravity. They work 100% of the time. The first mental principle, and we will return to it again and again, is what we call the law of control. The law of control is very simple. It's a basic law, and we will return to it again and again. It simply says that you feel good about yourself, you feel positive about yourself, to the extent that you feel you are in control of your own life. Or you feel negative about yourself to the extent that you feel you are not in control of your own life. You just have to look at your life today and ask yourself in what parts of your life you feel better, in what parts of your life you feel more in control. You will find that those are the places where you are happiest. Since the ultimate human good is to achieve a state of happiness expressed in mental peace, health, love, and relationships, control is absolutely essential. Psychologists call this the difference between an internal locus of control, which is feeling that you are in charge of your own life, versus an external locus of control, which means feeling that something outside of you, whether it's your debts, your relationships, your work, or your health, in some way is controlling you. In fact, research into locus of control, and there are many tests you can take to determine where you are on this graph in terms of locus of control and in what areas of your life you feel more and less in control. People with a very high internal locus of control are high performance people. They are more successful, they are more self-determined, and they are happier. Many of the things we are trying to do in this course are to give you a much greater sense of control, of being in charge of every aspect of your life. Control begins with your thoughts. Interestingly, your thoughts, what you think about things and how you think, determine your values, determine what is happening inside you. Once stored, your thoughts determine your feelings. It's how you think about something that determines your feelings, whether you're happy or unhappy, scared or confident. Your feelings then determine your actions. We start with the law of control, saying that the key to success is feeling that you are the master of your own destiny, that you are behind the wheel of your own life, that you are in charge of your life by taking complete and total control over your thoughts. Your thoughts will control your feelings will control your actions, and your actions, always remember, your actions will determine your success or your lack of success. The law of control is important. Now, in contrast to the law of control, we have what is called the law of chance. The law of chance is really a metaphysical principle. It's just a law, like a traffic law or like a legal law. To the extent that we consistently live in accordance with it, the law of chance is what about 80% of the population lives more or less. The law of chance simply states that by not planning, you are planning to fail. Not planning is planning to fail. Most people don't believe they live according to this, but if you look at their lives, you'll see that it's true. Not planning means planning for failure. These are the people who say, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's being in the right place at the right time. It's luck. It's the luck of the draw, and so on. These are individuals who, feeling that their lives are controlled by forces outside themselves, lack clear plans, lack clear goals, don't work persistently and steadily every day to achieve something they want, and their lives simply seem adrift and going in circles like a rudderless ship. A person, like a ship without a rudder, a person without a central plan, is a person who has very little control, a person who feels that they are indeed out of control of their life, as if they are falling through space, without a place to stop. And these people are invariably unhappy. The reason people are negative today, the reason people are unhappy, the reason people are sick and frustrated, the reason people don't reach their full potential in life is that most of them live according to this law of chance. And by doing so, they don't have a clear sense of control over their lives. They don't have a sense of inner peace. They don't have a sense of happiness, and so on. We will show you how to free yourself from the personal law of chance permanently. Now, the next law is what is called the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect says that for every effect in your life, there is a specific cause. Everything that happens in the universe happens for a reason, that nothing happens by accident, that failure does not happen by accident, and success does not happen by accident, that happiness or lack of happiness is the result of cause and effect relationships. If we have an effect in your life that you want more of, whether it's more success, more money, more happiness, better health, you can trace it back to a cause. And what you do is repeat and duplicate that cause. If you have an effect in your life that you want less of, if you have problems or difficulties, you can also trace it back to a cause. All progress in human life and in human society comes from identifying the causes of what we want more or less of and changing those causes. We're going to show you how to free yourself from the personal law of chance permanently. Now, the next law is what is called the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect says that for every effect in your life, there is a specific cause. Everything that happens in the universe has a reason. Nothing happens by accident. Failure does not happen by accident, and success doesn't either. Happiness or lack of it is a result of causal relationships. If there is an effect in your life that you want more of, whether it's more success, more money, more happiness, or better health, you can trace it back to a cause and repeat and duplicate that cause. If there is an effect in your life that you want less of, if you have problems and difficulties, you can also trace it back to a cause. All progress in human life and in society comes from identifying the causes of what we want more or less of and changing those causes. The law of cause and effect is the iron law of the universe. It's a law that you'll come back to time and time again. And many of our laws are paraphrasing of the iron law, also called the law of sowing and reaping. What you sow, that you shall also reap. But the iron law, the law of cause and effect, gives us a complete sense of control. If we believe that there is a cause and effect relationship, that everything happens for a reason, then we have a tremendous feeling of control in our lives. We can identify the causes, duplicate them, and make our lives whatever we want. The most important application of the law of cause and effect is this: thoughts are causes and conditions are effects. Thoughts are simply causes and conditions are simply effects. The starting point of everything is your thoughts about something. It's your thoughts about a job, your thoughts about a relationship, your thoughts about your health, your thoughts about your future. Your thoughts become causative agents and conditions become effects. If you want to change any of the conditions in your life, you must change the thoughts that precede those conditions. You must change what is happening in your mind. Fortunately, there is only one thing in the entire universe over which you have complete control, and it is your thoughts. If you take total control of your thoughts and keep them focused on what you desire, making them positive causes, the conditions or effects will take care of themselves with the inexorability of a law of nature. The next law is what is called the law of belief. The law of belief simply says that whatever you believe with feeling, and this is the key, conviction, and the more emotion you put into a belief, it becomes your reality. It becomes your reality because you will always act consistently with your beliefs. In fact, your entire reality at this moment is simply an external reflection of your most intensely held beliefs. If you believe something positive or if you believe something negative, or as Henry Ford said, whether you think you can do something or you think you can't, you're right. Our beliefs shape our realities to the extent that we believe something to be true. Our beliefs act as a kind of filter, screening out any information that is inconsistent with our beliefs. We have a deep-seated desire inside of us to remain consistent. So we always try to see, rationalize, and interpret our world to be consistent with what we have already decided to believe. We develop what are called scotomas. A scotoma is a term in psychology that simply means we develop blind spots. We don't see opportunities and are convinced there are no opportunities. We don't see possibilities for success if we don't believe success is possible for us. However, if we start changing our beliefs, we start changing our realities. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, After conducting a variety of experiments, Dr. Rosenthal concluded that the expectations teachers had about students were having a tremendous effect on their ability to learn and their grade averages. He conducted a series of experiments, and one of them was very significant. At the beginning of the school year, he went to the San Francisco Bay Area, and the principal called in 3 teachers. These teachers were told that, due to their excellence in teaching, they had been singled out as the top 3 teachers in the school and would be assigned 30 students each from the brightest students in the school as identified by IQ tests. By the end of the last semester, they would be allowed to teach these students for the entire year. And it was estimated that, according to experts, these students would increase their academic performance by an average of 20 to 30% over the course of that school year. Now, the teachers were told that one of the conditions was that they should not tell the students and they should not tell their parents, but they should continue teaching in the same way. The classes were carefully monitored to ensure they taught in the same way as before, but only they would know that they had been assigned 30 bright students each to teach for the entire year. The teachers were delighted, excited, and worked hard with these students. They spent time after school with them and became much more involved in teaching than they had been before. At the end of the school year, surprisingly, these 3 classes not only led the school, but the entire school district in academic achievement. At the end of the year, the 3 teachers were called in, sat down, and were told, "You've had a good year," to which they responded affirmatively. They were told it was great that these children were so eager to learn. Then they were told maybe we should tell them the truth. They explained that this was an experiment, and at the beginning of the school year, they randomly selected the names of 90 children from the entire school population and assigned them to their classes. They didn't even know what their IQ was. The teachers were amazed and asked, how was it possible for them to do so well? They were told they were simply the top 3 teachers in the school. This story illustrates what is called a double-blind experiment. They kept everything constant except for the expectations. The expectations about the teachers were explicit. We believe they are excellent teachers. The stories we've just explored highlight the incredible power of expectations in shaping outcomes, whether it's in the classroom or in our personal lives. The teachers' implicit expectations of their students unleashed hidden potentials and led to remarkable transformations, demonstrating the immense influence that expectations can have on performance and achievement. But let's zoom out for a moment and consider the broader context of expectations in our lives. It's not just our teachers who hold expectations for us. Perhaps even more influential are the expectations instilled in us by our parents. From the moment we enter this world, our parents' hopes, dreams, and beliefs about us begin to shape our sense of self and our aspirations for the future. Research has shown that our parents' expectations, whether positive or negative, have a profound impact on our behavior and choices throughout our lives. If we were raised in an environment where we were nurtured, supported, and encouraged to reach for the stars, we are more likely to internalize those positive expectations and strive for greatness. Conversely, if we grew up in an environment filled with criticism, doubt, and low expectations, we may find ourselves held back by self-doubt and fear of failure. So, I urge you to reflect on your own upbringing and the expectations that were placed upon you by your parents. What were their hopes and dreams for you? Did they believe in your potential, or did they inadvertently sow seeds of doubt and limitation? And most importantly, how are those expectations influencing you today? As we continue our journey of exploration and discovery, remember that awareness is the first step towards empowerment. By understanding the role that expectations play in our lives, we can begin to challenge and reshape those beliefs that no longer serve us, and pave the way for a future filled with limitless possibilities. Well, this brings us to the critical role of expectations in your life. The first part of expectations in your life, number 1, and where expectations affect you, is in your parents' expectations. We have found that we tend as adults to try to fulfill or fail our parents' expectations throughout our lives. If our parents were strong, supportive, loving, kind, encouraging, and believed in us throughout our lives, we will unconsciously strive to live a life consistent with those expectations. If our parents were critical, condemning, and complained about our grades and so on, we will find that throughout our lives we tend to hold back. So be aware of that. What were your parents' expectations? Were they positive or negative? Did they drive you or discourage you? And how much are they affecting you today? The second area of expectations is your boss's expectation. In all of our studies, especially in studies on excellence in organizations, we have found that bosses with high expectations have high-performance work environments. Now, if you work for a boss who is negative, critical, and condemning, if you work for a boss who has negative expectations or a negative attitude, your performance is likely to be very low. In fact, if you look at the course of your work career, you will find that the times in your life that you have enjoyed the most are working under a boss who had high positive expectations of you and your ability. Isn't that right? The third area of expectations is the expectations you have of others, especially your children, your spouse or partner, especially your subordinates or the people who look up to you. We are deeply affected by the opinions of anyone we respect and the attitudes towards us of anyone we respect. And if you have high positive expectations of the people around you, especially your children, they will rise to meet those expectations. So the basic rule regarding this is to always expect good things from others. In word and deed, continually tell them, I believe in you. And the fourth area of expectations is the expectations you have of yourself. Ultimately, these are the most powerful. If you have high positive expectations of yourself, you will be amazed at what it will mean for your life. Always expect the best. Always expect the best. And here's a little exercise I learned from one of my graduates at one of our seminars. In life, he found that starting each day with this simple exercise and telling himself, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. This little exercise completely changed his attitude. He spent the whole day with the attitude of someone with a confident expectation. Everything that happened during the day, he thought, maybe this is something wonderful that is going to happen to me. And you know that if you do this, if you say before going to sleep, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me tomorrow, and if you say when you wake up in the morning, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today, and if throughout the day you say, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me, you will find that when you go to sleep the next night and try this, today's a very powerful exercise. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it's a very powerful exercise. If you try it, you will find that you won't be able to think of all the wonderful things that have happened to you. You will simply be amazed that your parking spaces will open up, your friends will call you, and you will receive checks in the mail. Your life will be a series of positive and happy experiences. So always expect the best. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. And by the inexorability of a law of nature, I can assure you that it will happen. It has happened to thousands and thousands and thousands of our graduates who will literally amaze you with the effect of this little cheesy exercise. The last law we will talk about in this session is called the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence says, and is quoted by J.S., as is within, so is without. As is within, so is without. And what it simply means is that your outer world is a mirror, and that's probably the best word. Your outer world is a mirror, and it simply reflects what is happening in your inner world. Your outer world is the result of your inner world. What is happening inside determines what is happening outside. If you want to change your outer world, you have to change your inner world. That means you can look at your words, you can look at your level of health. What's happening in terms of your physical health is largely determined by what's happening in your mind. What's happening in your relationships is the most perfect example, because you find that when you feel good inside, your relationships are fluid. When you feel negative or stressed inside, your relationships go wrong. Your relationships are a reflection of the image in the mirror of the quality of your own personality. You can tell how healthy your personality is by looking at the relationships. If you change your inner life, you change life. And as the day draws to a close, take a moment to reflect on the magic that has unfolded before your very eyes. Perhaps you encountered a stranger who offered a word of wisdom that resonated deep within your soul. Maybe you stumbled upon an opportunity that seemed tailor-made for your aspirations and dreams. Or it could be that you experienced a moment of pure joy and connection that reminded you of the beauty and wonder that surrounds us every day. Whatever form it took, I hope you embrace the extraordinary with open arms and an open heart. For today was not just another day. It was a day filled with miracles, synchronicities, and blessings in disguise. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, Know that the universe is always conspiring in your favor, orchestrating moments of magic and wonder that are uniquely yours. So, my friends, carry the spirit of today with you into tomorrow and beyond. Approach each day with a sense of wonder and possibility, knowing that something extraordinary is always just around the corner. And remember, you are the architect of your own destiny, capable of creating miracles in every moment. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery and delight. May the magic of today continue to unfold in your life, guiding you ever closer to your dreams and desires. Until we meet again, may you always expect the extraordinary, for it is waiting for you just beyond the horizon. There's an important point to remember. No one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. I repeat, no one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. One of the reasons you may not achieve financial success is that you believe others are doing better than you. This is not true. In fact, most millionaires were once ordinary people with ordinary education, doing ordinary jobs, living in average neighborhoods, in average homes, and driving average cars. But they discovered what financially successful people did. And they did the same until they achieved similar results. It's not a mystery and it's not luck. When you think and act like millionaires, you will also achieve similar results. Simply put, this is the result of the law of cause and effect. Here are 21 principles of self-made millionaires. Each principle is essential to help you become a millionaire. Just failing to apply any one of these principles can sabotage, even destroy your chances of achieving prosperity. Remember that the principle of goals, dreaming big dreams, is the first secret to becoming a millionaire. Simply put, dream big dreams. Allow yourself to dream. Imagine a life you love. Think about the amount of money you want to earn and have in your bank account. All great people started with dreams of things better and different from what they have now. You probably know the lyrics. Hey, you got to have dreams. If you want to turn dreams into reality, this is true for you and anyone. Create for yourself a vision of a long-term future. The clearer your vision of health, happiness, and finances, the faster you will achieve them. When creating a clear mental image of what you are heading for in life, you will become more positive, energetic, and determined to turn it into reality. Here's a big question you need to consistently answer. Dare to dream. What would you dare to dream if you knew you couldn't fail? If you ensure success in any life goal, big or small, short-term or long-term, what would it be? What big goals would you dream less if you knew you couldn't fail? Practice writing down a list of everything you would do or try to achieve if you were sure to succeed. Then decide on a specific action and implement it immediately. The principle stresses clear instructions. Let your dreams manifest into clear written goals. Perhaps the greatest discovery in human history is that the philosophy you spend most of your time thinking about will become what you think about most. There are two factors that anything that happens to you in life. That is what you think and how you think about it. Successful people spend all their time thinking about their goals. As a result, they constantly move towards their goals, and those goals also constantly move towards them. Anything you spend most of your time thinking about will grow in your life. If you're thinking, talking, and imagining your goals, you're more likely to accomplish them faster than others. Think and talk about your worries, issues, and problems. Here is a 7-step method for setting and achieving goals that you can use to become a millionaire. Firstly, identify precisely what you desire in each area of life, especially in the financial aspect. Most people do not do this. Secondly, write down your goals clearly and specifically. After putting your goals on paper, you will notice a surprise between thinking and writing. Thirdly, set deadlines for each goal. Have a backup deadline if it's a major goal. Build your goals gradually. List the daily actions needed to achieve them. Fourthly, turn the list into an action plan. Determine what to do first, what to do next, what's more important, what's less important. Fifthly, start implementing the plan immediately. Sixthly, and perhaps the most crucial step, every day, do everything to get you closer to your most important goal. Pay attention to daily actions to help you achieve significant success in any area you want to complete. Practice thinking on paper. Sit down and write down your goals and plan to achieve them. This exercise can help you become a millionaire. The third principle is to consider yourself a boss right now. You take 100% responsibility for what you have and will have. Do not give reasons or blame others for your troubles or shortcomings. Stop complaining about things you are dissatisfied with in life. Instead of criticizing others for anything, take responsibility for yourself. If there's something in life you don't like, you must take responsibility to change it. You are responsible for yourself. When you see yourself as a boss, you will develop an entrepreneurial spirit, the spirit of independent, autonomous, and self-starting individuals. Expect something to happen, make it happen. You take full responsibility for your health, finances, career, relationships, lifestyle, home, car, and everything that exists in your life. This is the mindset of an independent millionaire. Practice identifying the legitimate reasons why you cannot fully commit to your financial goals. Do you blame someone or something that hinders you in life, no matter what it is? Take full responsibility for your life and act now. Principle 4, do what you love. Doing what you truly love is one of the biggest secrets to achieving financial success. One of the top responsibilities in life is to find what you truly love, the field where you are naturally talented. Then focus your entire mind to do it best. When doing a job you truly love, you will feel full of energy, excitement, and ideas to do it better. A question arises here. If you earn a tax-free $1 million, what will you continue to do tomorrow that you are currently doing? This is a significant question. Simply put, what would you do if you had all the time and money you needed and the freedom to choose your profession? Millionaires, if they had $1 million, would continue doing what they do, but they would do it differently, better, or at a higher level. However, they love their work to the extent that they would never consider giving it up. In practice, identify the type of work you love the most. What activity has contributed the most to your success in life so far? If you could do any job and succeed in it, what job would you choose? Set it as a plan and start moving in that direction from today. The 5th principle is a commitment to excellence. Solving today is the best way to do what you can do. Set a goal for yourself to be in the top 10% in your field, whatever it may be. This decision will help you succeed, achieve great success in your work. It can be a turning point in your life. Almost all successful people excel in the field they choose. Believe that no one can do better than you, and no one is smarter than you. All those in the top 10% today started from those in the top 10%. Finally, everyone doing well now has done poorly before. All those at the top of their field have had a time doing other fields, and if many others can do well, you can do well too. This is a great principle for success. Your life only gets better when you do better, and since there is no limit to how much better you can become, there is no limit to how much better you can make your life. This is one of the most important questions you have to ask and answer from now until the end of your career. Which skill, if I develop and use it perfectly, will have the most positive impact on my life? Practice identifying the areas you are primarily responsible for in your current job. What parts of your job do you have to excel in to help you become a leader in your field? Where are your strengths and weaknesses? Plan for you to develop skills that can help you achieve the most success. The principle is to work longer, work harder. All self-made entrepreneurs work a lot, and a lot. They often start work early, work harder, and stay in the office later. They are the most famous among those who work the hardest in their field, and everyone knows that. Practice the 40+ formula. In this formula, you work 40 hours a week to survive. Anything you do over 40 hours is to achieve success. If you only work an average of 40 hours, about 35 hours, then all you do is to survive. You will never exceed. You will never achieve great financial success. You will never be highly valued and respected by colleagues. You see, just be ordinary workers. The 40-hour work week is your main work, but every hour beyond 40 hours is an investment in your future. In fact, you can accurately assess your position in the next 5 years by looking at the number of hours you work beyond the 40-hour work week each week. There is no substitute for the need to work harder. In practice, plan today to increase your working hours. Every day, arrive at the office 1 hour earlier and start working during lunch breaks, even when others have already left. Stay in the office 1 hour later. This strategy will double your productivity while only requiring an additional 2 hours of work each day. The 7th principle is lifelong learning. Almost unlimited learning and improvement are within your ability in the field you have chosen. You have more mental faculties, intellectual abilities than you have ever used. If you strive to develop yourself in the remaining part of your life, you are smarter than you imagine. There is no harm you cannot overcome, no problem you cannot solve, and no goal you cannot achieve. By applying the intellectual power to every situation, leadership is for those who love to learn, and continuous learning is the key to the 21st century. Lifelong learning is a minimum requirement for success in any field. Decide today that you will become a good student in your field, and you will continue to learn and improve throughout your life. There are 3 important principles for you to learn lifelong. First, you must spend at least 30 minutes to 60 minutes each day learning about your field. Reading is a way to train your mind, like exercising your body. Reading 1 hour every day. If you read 1 book a week, then in a year you will have 50 books. And in 15 years, you will have read 500 books. Since the average adult can't finish a book in 15 years. So when you start reading 1 hour every day, 1 book a week, this will give you a significant advantage. You will become one of the smartest, outstanding, and highly paid people by simply reading 1 hour every day. Second, listen to radio programs while driving. On average, a person sits in a car for about 500 to 1,000 hours a year, equivalent to 12 to 24 hours a week, equivalent to 3 to 6 months of work, and equivalent to 1 to 2 semesters at a university. Third, participate in courses and seminars that you think can help you improve your skills in your field. This is a combination of books, in-depth research, and seminars that will help you save hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars, along with many years of hard work to achieve the level of financial success you desire. Practice choosing a topic that can help you work more productively, more effectively in your field. Set a goal to become an expert in that topic. Turn it into a project. Make yourself read about that topic every day. Listen to radio programs about that topic. Attend seminars and embark on the project as if your future depended on it. The 8th principle is to pay yourself first starting today. Determined to save and invest at least 10% of your income throughout your working life. Deposit 10% of your salary each time you receive it into a special account to accumulate wealth. If throughout your life you save $100 a month and put at least 10%, $15 into a mutual fund, you could have an account of over $100 million when you retire. This means that anyone, even those with a minimum wage, who starts saving early and saves long enough, can become a millionaire by the time they retire. The main reason retirees find themselves in poverty is that they spent recklessly before retiring, buying whatever they liked without thinking. They become victims of what is called Parkinson's Law, which states that expenses rise to meet income. This means that no matter how much you earn, you will spend all of it, and even more. You never save and escape from debt. Don't let yourself fall victim to Parkinson's Law. If you don't know how to save 10% of your income today, start saving 1% of your income in a special account. Understand and discipline yourself to do this at the beginning of each month. Even if you have to pay off debts, live comfortably with 99% of your income when it feels more comfortable than 99% of your income. Gradually increase the amount you save to 2%, 3%, then 4%, and continue to increase over a year. You will set aside 10% and maybe 15% or 20% of your income and live comfortably with your balanced income and expenses. At that point, your savings and investment accounts will also start to grow. You will need to be more careful with your spending and pay off your debts. Starting within 1 or 2 years, you will gain control over your entire financial life and embark on the path to becoming a millionaire. Anyone who tries this process sees results, so apply it to yourself. The 9th principle is to learn the details of your job. The market will reward great achievements handsomely, reward average performance moderately, and punish desperate failures severely. Set a goal to become an expert in your chosen field by learning every detail to improve your work. Read every magazine about your field, read and study the latest books, participate in courses and seminars by experts in your field, join professional or trade associations, attend every meeting, and connect with other top professionals in your field. If you are a salesperson, become a lifelong student. Study the average sales process well by 20%. Top salespeople will earn 16 times more than the bottom 80%. The top 10% of salespeople earn even more. If you are a manager, determined to become a well-known professional manager. If you are starting to build your own company, learn business strategies, tactics, and try to come up with new ideas every day. Aim to be the best in your business or profession. One detail, one perspective, one small idea can be a turning point in your career. So always seek it. Principle 10. Serve others passionately. The reward. What you receive in life is always proportional to your service to others. Millionaires are always obsessed with serving their customers. They think about their customers all the time, everywhere. They constantly find new and better ways to serve their customers. Ask yourself these questions. What do customers really want? What do customers value? What can I do for customers better than others? Why did my customers buy from someone else today, and what do I have to do for them to buy from me? Your success in life will be proportional to what you do. After you do what is expected of you, always look for opportunities to do more than you are paid for. Always find ways to go the extra mile to provide customers with more than what is required and be rewarded for it. Remember that there will never be a traffic jam on that extra mile. Principle 11. Be absolutely honest with yourself and others. Perhaps the most valued and highly regarded quality you can develop is integrity. Be absolutely honest in everything you do, in every task and action. Never compromise on integrity. Remember that your word is your bond, and integrity is paramount in business. The first key to developing integrity is to be honest with yourself in all aspects. The highest honesty is with the inner person within you. Being honest with yourself means doing things well once you commit to them. Authenticity is expressed internally through personal honesty and externally through the quality of your work. The second key to developing integrity is to be honest with others. Live truthfully with everyone. Never say or do something that you do not believe is right, good, or genuine. Live by the highest standards you know. Principle 12. Set clear priorities and focus all your mind on them. When you develop the habit of prioritizing outstanding priorities and focus your entire mind on them, you will be able to accomplish anything you want in life. This core strategy is the main factor that brings high income, wealth, and financial independence to thousands, even millions of people. The ability to set clear priorities and engage in achieving them is a crucial test and measure of your will, discipline, and character. This is the most difficult but essential habit to develop if you want great success. Here is a method. Make a list of everything you need to do before you start any goal. Establish goals on that list by always asking yourself 4 questions. The first question, what is my highest value activity? Among the things you do, which one is of superior value to your work and your business? The second question, why am I paid? Exactly, what are you hired to do? Focus on results, not activities. The third question, what can I and only I do? If done well, it will make a real difference. The fourth question, right now, what is the most valuable thing I can spend my time on? Finally, focus on one task, the most important task, and persist in doing it until it is 100% complete. Be patient and don't let distractions take you away. Wake up to the task until it's done. Principle 13. Build a reputation for speed and reliability. Time is the currency of the 21st century. Everyone today is living in an unusual rush. Your job is to build a reputation for speed, develop a sense of urgency, and develop an action orientation. Act quickly to seize opportunities. Act quickly when people want something, need something. Act quickly when you see something that needs to be done. Practice choosing an important task that you cannot postpone to start and be determined to do it immediately. Remind yourself of the mantra, do it now, do it now, do it now. Principle 14. Prepare to climb from one peak to another. Like a mountain climber, after climbing one peak, that person has to go down to the valley before climbing another mountain. Your life and career will also be such a series of ups and downs. Have you ever heard the saying, life is a process of taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Develop a long-term vision or a broader view for everything you do. Plan 2, 3, 4, 5 years for the future, and do not allow yourself to fall into an emotionally unstable state with the short-term fluctuations of life. Recognize that everything in your life moves in cycles and trends. Stay calm, confident, and comfortable with temporary fluctuations in your career. When you have clear goals and plans, when the overall trend in your life is forward and upward, success will come to you. Principle 15. Cultivate discipline in everything. Self-discipline is the most important quality for success in life and to become a millionaire. If you can discipline yourself to do what needs to be done at the necessary time, whether you like it or not, success is sure to come to you. The key to becoming a millionaire is to have a long-term vision combined with the ability to postpone immediate gratification. It is the ability to set long-term goals self-imposed daily routines, and only focus on doing what ensures success. Eventually, you will achieve long-term goals. Self-discipline demands that you be self-governing, self-controlling, self-responsible, and self-guiding. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people is that successful ones have the habit of building. Principle 16. Unlock your inherent creativity. Here's something even better. You are a hidden genius. You are smarter than you think. You possess intelligence and creativity beyond what you have applied so far. Your creativity is stimulated by 3 factors. First, powerful goals. Second, urgent problems. Third, central questions. The more you concentrate your mind to achieve goals, solve problems, or answer challenging questions in your personal life or business, the smarter and more focused your intellect becomes on future work. Principle 17. Associate with the right people. 85% of your success and happiness in life are determined by the quality of the relationships you develop in your personal and professional activities. The more people you know and the more people know you in positive relationships, the more likely you are to succeed and move forward quickly. It seems that at every turning point in life, there will always be someone who either helps you or hinders you. Successful people have the habit of building and maintaining a network of reliable relationships. The result is that they accomplish more than those who just go home and watch TV every night. Everything is related. Almost every problem in your life is the result of relating incorrectly to the wrong people. All your great successes come from beautiful relationships with beautiful people. Over 90% of your success is determined by your social circle. The social circle is defined as the people you regularly associate with and hang out with. Millionaires continually expand their networks. They participate in industry trade associations, attend all meetings, and care about the actions of groups. They introduce themselves to people at social and business events. They exchange business cards and talk about what they do. And here's one of the best strategies. Whenever you meet someone new, suggest they talk about their business. In particular, let them tell you what you should know to send to customers, and then the sooner the better. See if you can bring customers to them. Be a giver rather than a taker. Always find ways to give before you start thinking about ways to receive. The best way for you to network and build your relationships is to constantly find ways to help others achieve their goals. The more you give, the more unexpected rewards you will receive. Principle 18. Take care of your physical health. We are living in the greatest era in human history in terms of health and longevity. Nowadays, people can live better and longer than ever before. Aim to live to at least 80, 90, or even 100 years with good health, and you can absolutely achieve this. First, set a goal to live at least 80 years. Then, examine your current health habits and see if they can help you live healthfully until 80. There are 3 key aspects needed for a healthy, happy, and active life. The first is maintaining a proper weight. Set a goal for a manageable and lifelong weight and stick to it. The second is proper nutrition, emphasizing healthier and moderate eating. Consume more protein, fruits, and vegetables. Limit snacks, sugary drinks, candies, and anything with excess sugar. Salt should be consumed in moderation, and limit intake of white flour products. Divide your meals into smaller portions, which is better than having one large meal. Once you have full control over your eating habits, you will easily control other habits in your life. The third key to extending lifespan is proper exercise, requiring around 200 minutes of physical activity per week, or an average of 30 minutes per day. You can exercise in various forms, like walking for 30 to 60 minutes a day, a few days a week. If necessary, join health clubs, purchase home exercise equipment, and engage in more intense workouts. Principle 19. Be decisive and action-oriented. One of the qualities of millionaires is that they always think deeply and then quickly make decisions. They train themselves to admire the action plate and implement their decisions immediately. They act fast and rapidly receive feedback from their action. If they see a mistake, they quickly correct it and try a different approach. The key to success for you is to lead yourself like successful people. Be decisive and try more things than others. Follow the law of probability. If you try different ways to succeed, the probability is that you will eventually find the right way at the right time. Principle 20. Never allow failure to be an option. The fear of failure is the greatest obstacle to human success. Note that failure itself does not prevent you from success, because failure makes you stronger, more flexible, and more determined. It is the fear of failure or the psychological anticipation of failure that can paralyze your thinking and action. Holding on to fears prevents you from doing what you need to do to achieve great success. Dare to move forward. Millionaires are not gamblers, but they are always willing to accept the risks that have been anticipated in goal setting. To achieve greater rewards than reality, your willingness to become rich in any situation you face is the most important guide to whether you're willing to take risks. Ask yourself the question, what is the worst thing that will happen if I move forward? In fact, everyone is afraid of failure, afraid of loss and poverty, afraid of making mistakes. Millionaires are those who face failure cautiously, thoughtfully, and take action in any case. When you dare to act, there will be invisible strength to help you. Every courageous action will increase your courage in the future. Whenever you take action toward progress without the guarantee of success, your fear will diminish, and your confidence and courage will increase. Eventually, you will reach a point where you are not afraid of anything. Principle 21, overcome challenges, cultivate perseverance. Perseverance is an essential quality for everyone. Perseverance in human nature is like springs to steel. It is an indispensable quality that always accompanies great success. One of the greatest secrets of perseverance and success is to program in your subconscious about perseverance to deal with the difficulties and disappointments you will encounter on the path to conquering success. Determination is now. Give up waiting no matter what happens. When immersed in too many difficult problems, you will not have enough time to exert the necessary perseverance to solve them. But if you plan ahead for the inevitable ups and downs in life when they come, you will be completely proactive in mentality, courage, and perseverance. Persistent and determined, facing every challenge more than anything else will ensure your success. Your greatest personal asset is you, enduring more than others. In fact, perseverance is the measure of your belief and your ability to lead to success. Believe that you can be as good as or better than the people you've met. You are an exceptional individual. You have more intelligence and talent than you realize. Or use what you already have within you as the hidden potential to accomplish everything beautiful in your life. The greatest responsibility in your life is to dream big dreams, accurately what you desire. Make plans to achieve that. Practice the strategies taught in this book. Direct your actions every day towards your dreams and goals. Be persistent and never give up. When you take these actions, imagine that there are two types of work that you do. There's work that we will call work number one, and this work is work that has big potential consequences. If you do this and you do it well, it makes a big difference in your life, your family, and everything else. The other type of work you do is what we call work number two, and this work has no potential consequences. So the first category of work moves you towards your most important goals faster than anything else. This other type of work does not move you towards your goals, and even worse, it moves you away from your goals. Examples of time that you waste doing things of no value. Here's a simple way to become one of the highest paid and most productive people in society. Do only number one tasks. Do only those things that are moving you every day toward the goals that you say you want to achieve. You want to earn more money, be happier, be healthier, move up in your business, have a nice house, set a car, travel. Only do those things all day long. If you only do those things all day long, if you only do those things, the things that have great potential consequences, it transforms your life. Here's another discovery. 95% of what you do comes from habit. And if you do something repeatedly over and over again, what do you develop? A new habit. You develop a new habit. You've heard the rule, the 80-20 rule of the Pareto principle. The top 20 of salespeople make 80 of the sales, and the bottom 80 salespeople make 20 of the salespeople make 20 of the sales. Do you know what the difference in the ratio is? The ratio is the difference between 16 to 1. The average income of people in the top 20 is 16 times the average income of the people in the bottom 80. Now, let me ask you a question. Doesn't mean the people in the top 20 are 16 times better than the people in the bottom 80, 16 times more experienced. Did they work 16 times the number of hours? Did they have 16 times the number of years of education? Are they 16 times more handsome? Are they 16 times anything? You know that it's not humanly possible to be twice as smart as somebody else unless you're looking at very, very unintelligent people and very, very brilliant people. But there's really not humanly possible, on average, for us to even be twice as smart as anybody else. Yet 20 of these people are making 16 times the average of the rest in our society. It is a lot of controversy, or why should I work so hard for my job? The fact of the matter is that less than 5 really succeed. That's less than 5 of the population really succeeding in life. If you have 100 people working today, only 1 will be wealthy when they retire. 4 will be financially independent. 15 will have some savings. 80% will be broke and dependent upon charities and pensions. Only 1 or 2% of people in each generation really make it in life. And in every single study, those people who make it are those who work hard, hard. And if you think that it's hard to be successful, try being a failure. Try coming to the end of the trail with no money, dependent upon pensions, and you don't know what hard is until you try living like that. But if you work hard, the average millionaire in America works 12 to 13 hours a day, works about 60 to 65 hours a day, works about 60 to 65 hours a week. I'll tell you this with regard to hard work. You in our society only work 8 hours a day for survival. Everything over 8 hours is for success. And if you're only working 8 hours a day, you're in trouble. If you're only working 8 hours a day, you better have a rich uncle, or you better have somebody else who's going to take care of you, because 8 hours a day only gets you survival in our society. Because it's so competitive that somebody else is working 9. They've got an edge on you. Somebody else is working 10. They've got a bigger edge on you. Every hour over 8 that you invest is an investment in your future, is an investment in your future, is an investment in your success. And if you put in the hours over 8, whether it's studying or reading or working, if you put in the hours, it will pay off. And it will pay off in spades. It's like throwing seed in the ground. When you throw a seed in the ground, the plant that comes up is not just one seed. It's hundreds of seeds. There's a crop that you put in, but you must put the seed in the ground first. The market only pays excellent rewards for excellent performance. It pays average rewards for average performance. It pays below average rewards for below average performance. And I talk to men and women all over America who are unhappy, and they're sad, and they don't like their work. And you know why? It's because they're not good at what they're doing. So your earning ability is the most powerful and most valuable financial asset you have. And your earning ability, by definition, is your ability to get results that people will pay you for. Now, this doesn't mean that you are not a valuable person. Each human being is of incredible value. But some people's earning ability is much higher than others, and your earning ability is an asset. So it can be either increasing in value or decreasing in value or decreasing in value. Now here's what they study. Here's what they found in the studies. The 80-20 rule. They found that the bottom 80% of people, the ones who struggle for money and worry about money all their lives, these people, when they take their first job, will work to a certain level, and then they will level off and never improve for the rest of their lives unless they're forced to. And so, therefore, 10 years after starting work, the average person today is no more productive at getting results than they were after 1 year. But they find that the people in the top 20% are very different. The people in the bottom 80% increase their income about 2 or 3% per year over the years. In the top 20% increase their income at an average of about 11% per year. If your income goes up 11% per year, you will double your income every 6 or 7 years, and then you will double it again, and then you'll double it again, and then you'll double it again. And soon you'll live in a beautiful house, and you'll drive a nice car, and you'll send your children to private schools, and you'll have a nice bank account, and you'll be happy. But if you don't keep increasing your income, nothing good will happen. Now, what is the difference? The answer is the people in the bottom 80 don't learn anymore after they leave school. But the people in the top 20 are always learning new things. And as a result, they are increasing their earning ability. People in the top 10% in every field think in terms of their hourly rate. How much I earn each hour. Now, this change in thinking changes your entire life. I know because I've taught this principle to thousands of people who literally transform their lives and their incomes almost overnight. If you think in terms of how much you earn in a week or a month, well, then you have a natural tendency to waste time during the day. Monday is a slow day. You're recovering from the weekend. Tuesday, you start to work. Wednesday, the week is almost over. Thursday, you start to slow down. And now it's Friday. Who gets anything done on Friday will do it on Monday. And so people's ability to produce drops, and drops. And since 80% of the population thinks like this, if you're not careful, you'll find you are surrounded by people who waste deep time. So when you start thinking in terms of your hourly rate, it transforms your life. Poor folks have poor ways, and it's really hard to get over. Poor folks have poor ways. Always remember that poor folks have poor ways. They think poor, they think cheap, they think saving, they think spending as little as possible, they think a little money they have. But you find that successful people have successful thinking. They think very, very differently than poor people. And so remember that poor folks have poor ways, but rich folks have rich ways. It's because people who make a lot of money, my friend Jim Rohn said, he said the most important part of becoming a millionaire is not the money, but it's the person you have to become a millionaire. You have to become a totally different person to go from zero to being worth more than $1 million. But the good news is that if you lost all of your money because of a crash in the economy or something else, you can make it all back again, because now you're the kind of person who can make it. Once you become a millionaire in your thinking, then it's only a matter of time before you quickly restore that amount of money in your reality. So the starting point is to change our thinking, which we have said over and over again, and I've written extensively on this. For the path of least resistance is a really big killer. What it is the tendency to look for the easy way, the fast way, the cheap way, the method of least effort or least cost to achieve things. And what we have in our society today, which is as a result of several generations of affluence, is we have an enormous number of people who are literally addicted to the shortcut, the easy way, the fast, quick way. There's an old saying with regard to these get-rich-quick schemes. When a man with experience meets a man with money, the man with money is going to end up with the experience, and the man with experience will end up with the money. So you'll find that the newspapers and magazines and television are all full of get-rich-quick schemes, because there's always people who think it's possible to get rich quick, get rich easy. All you have to do is find a trick or a gimmick. And there's an enormous number of people who say rich people are just people who are lucky, they just had a gimmick, they just had a trick. The fact is that the rich have been studied at great length. It takes about 22 years from the time you decide to become a millionaire before you hit $1 million net worth, including your house. I think it's about 22 years on average, based on the studies of many thousands and tens of thousands of self-made millionaires. People say, wow, that's a long time. If it is, get on with it. So people start at 20. By the age of 42, they're millionaires. By the age of 45, they're dual millionaires. By the age of 55, because, as we say, the first million is hard, the second 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 million is inevitable. And so what you do is you have to make the first million. Why is that? Because you have to become a very different, disciplined, higher form of human being to actually make such a contribution that you actually earn and hold on to more than $1 million. It forces you to become somebody really different than you've ever been before. Financial freedom is a real big issue today. Financial freedom means that you don't worry about money. Worries about money, by the way, are the number one reason for marital breakdown. Worries, disagreements, arguments over money. So if you have problems with money, they affect your relationship. You have problems with your relationship, they affect your health. If they have problems with your health, it affects your peace of mind. And money is a major issue. We've been living through the most affluent country in the most affluent time in all of human history. For the last 50 years, we've grown up in a level of affluence that is unimaginable for 95% of the world. And we have come to believe that this is what we're entitled to. You grow up in America, you're entitled to a fat life. One of the things that is leading to major social disruptions is a lot of people are finding that it's not true anymore. It's today, if you want to be financially successful, you're going to have to work very, very hard. You're going to have to get up early and hit it hard and work all day and work into the evening. You're going to have to work 6 days a week. There's no six, no wealthy people who work 5 days a week. Zero, nada, none. There's no successful people who work 5 days a week, because if you work 5 days a week, you actually only work about 4. You start late, you leave early, and you waste time all day long. Successful people work long days and they work into the weekend. However, they're doing something they enjoy, and they're doing something they get tremendous satisfaction from because they're making progress, and as a result, it's really not work. You know the old rule, I found something I love to do and I never worked again the rest of my life. I work 7 days a week, but I never worked a day. And you'll find that when you do that, which you will, before we are finished, when you start to find what it is that you would love to do and put your whole heart into it, you never work again. And you get paid more than you ever dreamed of, and you don't even care. You don't even count the money anymore because you're just getting so much satisfaction from using yourself at the very highest level. And so financial freedom, this is something people have to start thinking about. The worst thing you can do today is to be in debt. As you know, as they say, the debt comes and goes, but the interest payments stay forever. And it's the interest that kills you. It's the constant payment. Look at that. So one of our goals is to achieve financial freedom, and this isn't something that happens by accident. We don't say, well, geez, I got to show up. I'm financially free this morning. No, but what we have to do is we have to sit down and make a plan, and we have to work on it for a long, long time. It's not something you can do once. It's something you need to do throughout your career. And too many people today are deeply in debt. 70% of Americans live from paycheck to paycheck. 70% of Americans, what that means is that they have no money, they have no reserves. The average American family at the age of 40 for the major breadwinner has a total net worth of about $40,000, and that's including the equity in their home. At the age of 60, they have a net worth of about $62,000, an average of about $1,000 a year. Most people without pensions, that's why there's so much political controversy. Without pensions, most people would be destitute. They'd be impoverished because they have nothing. 70% have nothing. Why? It's not because they haven't earned a lot of money. You know that if you saved $100 a month for your entire working lifetime, you'd be worth more than $1 million when you retire. $100 a month. If somebody put a gun to your head, could you save $100 a month? Yes, if your whole future depended upon it. Could you just save $100 a month? Well, it does. And people don't even say that. They spend it. They buy stuff they don't need to impress people they don't like. So here's where we start with our entrepreneurs. We say there are 4 keys. One is to clarify. Clarity is 95% of your success. Be absolutely clear about who you are, what you want, and your goals. Second is to simplify. Strip out and get rid of all the extraneous things in your life that are bogging you down. Number 3 is to maximize, and maximize is to take your special talents, abilities, and opportunities and really develop them to a high level. Number 4 is to multiply, and that is to leverage your talents and abilities. So here's the definition. We say clarify is developing absolute clarity about who you are. One of the things we do is we help people take assessments to determine who they are, what they like to do, what they're supposed to be doing. And we find that if you're in the wrong career for you, you'll never have any excitement about it. You'll never have any desire to get better at it. But if you change and you start doing what is right for you, you suddenly come alive. You become excited about what you're doing. So who you are, what you want, and the best way to achieve it? Clarity, clarity, clarity. Second is to simplify. Simplify. Simplify needs to delegate, outsource, and eliminate low value, no value tasks and activities in your life. In other words, look at the things you do in your life that contribute very little to your success, but you keep doing them anyway. You'll find that about 80% of your life is trivia. Remember the 80-20 rule? 20% of what you do accounts for 80% of your results. Success, rewards, satisfaction, happiness, joy. Everything is in the top 20%, which means the bottom 80%, which means the bottom 80% could be cut out completely and have no negative effect on your life. What do most people spend most of their time on? Bottom 80%. You know, television watching. Since the last time we did this conference, this seminar just a few months ago, at that time it was 150 hours a month for the average adults in America. It's up to 158 hours in less than a year. The average American is watching 5.5 to 6 hours, over 5 hours of television per day. The average non-adult is on social media 5 hours a day. Television watching, by the way, for young people is dropping dramatically. The networks are going bonkers. But it's older people who are not high-techs. They watch television 5 hours a day. Just imagine if you took 2 of those hours and you read something worthwhile, you'd be rich in a few years. Television makes you poor. They did an interesting study. They took people from socioeconomic categories. Wall Street Journal. They found as you went down the socioeconomic categories, to the poorest of the poor, they had no books in their homes and the biggest televisions they could afford. As you went up to the top, and they watched about 7 hours of television a day. As they began to go up in terms of income, television watching decreased until they got to the top 5 or 10%. These people very seldom watch television. They would pre-record something and watch it at their leisure later on in the evenings or on the weekends. Very seldom watched television, and their homes were full. So if you wanted to get into the top 10%, what you do is you have to do things at the top 10% of people do. Good morning. You're about to start a trip that will change your life and your finances forever. I'd like to share with you today a powerful method, a success plan that could triple your income and make you a millionaire. Though, before we get into the details of this method, I want you to picture the life you want to live. Imagine that you have everything you need and don't have to think about money. Think about how powerful and satisfying it would be to reach your biggest dreams. Keep that vision in mind, because with the way I'm about to show you, it is not only possible, but actually within your reach. These are some of the world's most successful people who have tried and tested this method. If you follow it with commitment and focus, it can change your financial future. Friends, if you want to learn how to get rich and take charge of your life and money, then come with me as we look at the millionaire method. We will start a journey together that will lead to wealth, success, and finally, a life of your dreams. You are fully in charge of your present and what you are right now. You are the only one who can change your world. Your present life is the result of all the choices and actions you've made so far. But you can change it and make a better future based on the person you want to be and the goals you want to reach in your life. You can make decisions and choices that are more in line with your goals and needs. The only limits on what you can be, do, and have are the ones you put on yourself and your thoughts. You will be in charge of your own life if you take responsibility for your thoughts, words, and deeds. From now on, it's important to learn how to be financially successful from people who went from being poor to being rich in just one generation. You need to learn how to think faster, make smarter choices, and act more effectively than other people. I promise that you will reach your financial goals faster than you think possible if I teach you how to order your money. You are now ready to learn how to form habits that will turn you into a real winner, teach you self-control and discipline, and help you make important choices that will lead you to success. Let's start. The good news is that you can learn any skill by doing it over and over again. You can learn any trait that you think is important or useful. You can change your attitude and character in any way you want if you are determined and follow through. Your own story will be written by you. And if you're unhappy with your present situation, you can start over. The same way that your good habits have helped you be successful and happy, your bad habits are to blame for your problems and annoyances. You can learn bad habits, but you can also unlearn them and learn good ones through the same process of practice and repeat. Get into the habit of feeding your thoughts with good things. It's important to remember that outside things like radio, TV, newspapers, magazines, ads, and talks with other people can have a big effect on you, because your mind is the most important thing you have. You need to keep it safe and clear, focused on what you want and away from anything that could be bad. Get rid of the unnecessary and disturbing TV shows. Do not read about killings, robberies, and other tragic events in the newspapers that are meant to shock you. Don't pay attention to radio talk that says nothing useful about the problems in the world right now. Do not keep talking about the political and social problems in your town or country for hours on end. Make sure your mind is free, clean, and full of good things. You will not only become what you think, but also what you feed your mind on a daily basis. Read and watch positive educational programs. Get positive ideas and information from other experts in your field. And talk to positive, goal-oriented people. If you want to be a positive, happy person, all of these things will help. Getting used to being around people you respect and admire who have the same traits you want to have is important. Do not have coffee with just anyone in the room. Don't go out with the first person who invites you after work. Know exactly what kind of people you want to talk to and listen to in order to change the way you think and feel. If you spend a lot of time with 5 people, Tony Robbins says that your pay will be about the same as theirs. In your case, who are those people? If you want to be the best version of yourself, you need to make it a habit to take action. Studies of successful people in almost any field show that those who are focused on action are the ones who really run their lives and jobs. To be action-oriented, you need to make it a habit to act quickly on an idea or chance. Your mind is always working on the things you can do. Going after your goals or getting the results you want is what it means to adopt. You don't keep talking about what you're going to do in the future. Instead, you do something right now. After having a clear picture of your ideal future and making plans and goals, it is important to come up with a strategy that will help you be the best at what you do. You have to make a promise to keep learning and form the habit of making decisions, taking the lead in all areas of your life and work that matter. It's better to learn how to make things happen than to just sit back and wait for them to happen. People who want to change things did not wait for things to get better. They should instead make the changes themselves. What you need to realize is that changing your thoughts and becoming a great person is not easy and can't be done without help from other people. You can do it, though, if you take responsibility for your character and personality growth and work on it. You must act right away if you have thought of a way to make any part of your life better. Don't wait. Do it now. Bring about a sense of need and hurry. Making a name for yourself as someone who acts quickly on any idea or chance that comes up is important. One of the most important habits you can form is this one. Taking full responsibility for your money is the first thing you need to do to become financially independent and a millionaire. A lot of people never do this and instead hope for the best and that someone will save them. They bet and buy lottery tickets because they think it will make them rich. Besides that, they worry all the time about put their money in the stock market. Big bucks don't just appear out of thin air, but most rich people plan their finances so that their net worth grows by 8 to 10% each year compared to the money they have worked for. They're not looking for quick ways to get rich or simple ways to make money. They are careful, patient, and relentless. They put in the effort every year to save money and build it up. It's not something they do to guess, take chances, or look for easy ways to make money quickly. Their wealth grows every year because of how they think about and focus on money. They eventually make more than $1 million and generally keep getting richer. The business thinker Jim Rohn said, becoming a millionaire isn't hard, but it's not the most important thing either. Getting rich has made you a better person. That's the most important thing. This idea is great for getting $1 million. If you want to be rich, you need to think about things very differently than most people who worry about money all the time. You need to change your character, attitude, and habits if you want to reach your financial goals and keep your money. Getting the first million is very hard, but getting the second is almost certain, said my financial planner. As soon as you can accumulate $1 million or more, you'll be able to make a second and third million. Should something bad happen and you lose all your money, you would be able to get it back quickly because you've become the kind of person who can become a millionaire. Once you become that person, you will always be able to do that. Austerity is one of the easiest habits to spot in the rich. Rich people are careful with their money, handle it well, and only invest after giving it a lot of thought. They'd rather buy used things than new ones, avoid borrowing if they can, and borrow money only when they have to. A saying in English says, if you watch out for the pennies, the pounds will stay safe. As kids, people who have become millionaires learn to save money and spend it. Rich man W. Clement Stone once said, if you can't save, then the seeds of greatness aren't within you. The Richest Man in Babylon, a best-selling book by George Clason, says that the key to making money is to pay yourself first. You have no choice but to save at least 10% of your cash before you spend it on anything else. For the rest of your working life, remember that people are flexible and can adapt to any situation. You will quickly get used to a slightly less fancy but just as comfortable way of life if you learn to live on 90% of your pay and save the rest. You won't have to worry about this new way of life for long. It will become a habit. Being persistent and not giving up is the key. Don't wait any longer. Start looking after your money right away. You are about to go through an amazing change in your finances. You'll be surprised at how much less you spend over time once you make it a habit to carefully think about your income and savings. You'll start getting rid of your bills and not taking on anymore. You will put off and avoid spending, and you might even decide not to buy something. At the same time, your savings will grow because you are eager to save some of your salary. In just 1 year, you'll have an extra $100. In 2 years, you'll have thousands. And in 10 or 20 years, you'll have hundreds of thousands or even $1 million. As your bank account grows, make it a habit to add extra money to it when you don't expect it. This will help it grow even faster. Put money from a bonus at work, a tax return, or the sale of something into your account instead of spending it right away. These steps will not only make you happy, but they will also give your savings magical energy. Your friends will pay back the bills they owe you, and new ways will open up for you to make extra cash. You could even sell old things you didn't think were worth anything. It's said that adding money to your account makes you feel better and brings more money into your life. Now is the time to form good money habits that will help you get the wealth you deserve. Instead of trying to get rich quickly, learn the secrets of wealthy people and build your wealth over time. And to do this, you need to follow 2 important money rules. First rule is don't waste your money. Rule 2, if you ever want to break this rule, just remember the first one. Individuals who become wealthy think about their money a great deal more than those who are poor. Millionaires study, analyze, and plan their finances for 20 to 30 hours a month, while the average person only spends 2 to 3 hours a month on their finances, usually when they have to pay bills. Simply put, giving your finances a lot of thought makes the choices you make about them a lot better. People who spend more time planning their finances always make better choices and get better results. Getting help from a financial expert before making any decisions about your accounts is one of the best habits you can form. Talk to people in your inner circle to find an advisor who has invested their own money successfully in the same places they tell you to. How well you can pick good financial advisors will have a big impact on the investments you make. Make sure you get the best advice possible to make sure you're successful with your money. Get into the habit of studying before you invest. The rule is that you should study the investment for as long as it takes you to earn the money you want to spend. Remember that when you're in a hurry, making choices about money usually doesn't turn out well. It's very important to give yourself time. Take your time and carefully look over every aspect of the investment you want to make before you write the check. No one should ever force you to make an investment choice. Don't ever feel like you need to act quickly and make a choice right away. A rich person I worked for once told me, investment chances are like buses. There will always be another one. Soon after you start getting rich, make it a habit to keep your assets safe from needless taxes and big cases. Pay for the help of a lawyer who specializes in wills and estate planning. With the help of a good lawyer, set up a family limited liability company and move your assets to it. This way, your assets won't be taken away from you in bad situations or if you get sued. It is said that being safe is better than being sorry. Plan ahead, do your study, keep your assets safe. These small steps can save you a lot of money as you work toward financial independence. Get better at negotiating so that you can get higher prices when you're selling and cheaper prices when you're buying. In any business deal, a good broker can save or make 10%, 20%, or even more. For every dollar you earn or save, you can add it to your savings account. Learn how to bargain and ask for lower loan rates. If you're selling something, look for better terms and conditions and expect payment right away. If you're buying something, look for ways to pay later. Always be nice, polite, ready to help, and sure of yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want, though. If you don't get it the first time, try again or ask for something different. People who become very wealthy very quickly in the stock market, in business, in show business, or in any other area make headlines in newspapers and magazines. This isn't typical, though. because most people get rich slowly thanks to the power of compound interest, which is sometimes called the most powerful force in the world. For 99% of millionaires, their wealth was built up over a long period of time, thanks to the slow growth of compound interest. If you spend and protect your money the right way, every dollar you save can grow by 5 to 10% a year. Your money grows and grows until it reaches a certain amount. When someone first started to seriously think about their money, it usually took them 22 years to save up $1 million. Over time, they get richer by taking advantage of smart investments that make their money grow and multiply over time, and making it easier for them to earn money. You need to do the same thing. To wrap up, dear friend, the philosopher Aristotle says that being happy is the most important thing in life. Developing wealthy habits that will make you financially independent is a great goal, but it's not the most important one. Being brave, honest, serious, and determined are important parts of what it means to become an adult. To be truly happy and satisfied with yourself and other parts of your life, you need to be financially successful for a long time. That is the most important goal. As our talk comes to a close, I want you to remember that you have the power to triple your income and become a millionaire. You have to be committed, dedicated, and ready to take bold actions. But know this, you have the power to change your financial future and make your life full of wealth. Put the things you've learned today to use with unwavering drive. Don't lose sight of your plan for success. Set clear goals and take calculated chances. Remember that each step you take toward your dreams brings you closer to making them come true. Friends, now you should go out with confidence and bravery. If you think like a millionaire, your income will grow faster than you could have imagined. It might not always be easy, but you can do great things if you keep going. Have the right attitude. Thanks for going with me on this trip. May you fully and enthusiastically follow the millionaire way, and may it bring you a life full of plenty, happiness, and satisfaction. Most people give up before they even make the first try. And the reason they give up is because of all the obstacles, difficulties, problems, and roadblocks that immediately appear as soon as you decide to do something that you've never done before. The fact is that successful people fail far more often than unsuccessful people. Successful people try more things, fall down, pick themselves up, and try again over and over again before they win through. You should expect to fail and fall short many times before you achieve your goals. You should look upon failure and temporary defeat as a part of the price that you pay on your road to the success that you will inevitably achieve. Identify all the obstacles that stand between you and your goal. Write down every single thing that you could think of that might be blocking you or slowing you down from moving ahead. In the area of problems and difficulties, successful people think about solutions most of the time. Unsuccessful people think about problems and difficulties most of the time. Problem-oriented people talk continuously about their problems, about who or what caused them, how unhappy or angry they are, and how unfortunate it is that they have occurred. Solution-oriented people, on the other hand, simply ask the question how and then get to work to remove the problems. Personal leadership is the ability to solve problems. Effectiveness is the ability to solve problems. All men and women who accomplish anything of importance are people who have developed the ability to solve the problems that stand between them and their goals, and the more you focus on solutions, the more and better solutions will come to you. The better you get at solving problems, the faster you will be at solving each subsequent problem. Eventually, you will be solving problems that can have significant financial consequences for you and others. This is the way the world works. The fact is that you have the ability to solve any problem or overcome any obstacle on the path to your goal if you desire the goal intensely enough. In accomplishing any major goal, there's always a constraint or bottleneck that you must get through as well. Your job is to identify it accurately and then to focus all of your energies on alleviating that key constraint. Your ability to remove this bottleneck or deal with this limiting factor can help you move ahead faster than perhaps any other step you can take. The 80-20 rule applies to the constraints between you and your goals. In this case, this rule says that 80% of your constraints will be within yourself. Only 20% of your constraints will be outside of yourself, contained in other people and situations. The primary obstacles between you and your goals are usually mental. They are psychological and emotional in character. They are within yourself rather than within the situation around you. And it is with these mental obstacles that you must begin if you want to achieve everything that is possible for you. The two major obstacles to success and achievement are fear and doubt. It is, first of all, the fears of failure, poverty, loss, embarrassment, or rejection that hold the average person back from trying in the first place. The second mental obstacle, closely aligned to fear, is that of self-doubt. We doubt our own abilities. We compare our own abilities. We compare ourselves unfavorably to others and think that others are somehow better, smarter, and more competent than we are. We think, I'm not good enough. We feel inadequate and inferior to the challenges of achieving the great goals that we so much want to accomplish. Primary antidotes to doubt and fear are courage and confidence. The higher your level of courage and confidence, the lower will be your levels of fear and doubt, and the less effect these negative emotions will have on your performance and behavior. The way that you develop courage and confidence is with knowledge and skill. The more you learn the things you need to know to achieve your goals, the less fear you will feel on the one hand, and the more courage and confidence you will feel on the other. Think about learning to drive for the first time. You were probably extremely tense and nervous and made a lot of mistakes. You may have driven erratically and been a danger to yourself and others. But over time, as you mastered the knowledge and skills of driving, you became better and better, and your confidence increased. Today, you can quite comfortably get into your car and drive across the country with no fear or worry at all. You're so confident at driving that you can do it well without even thinking about it. Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania spent more than 25 years studying the phenomenon of what he called learned helplessness. The most common manifestation of learned helplessness is contained in the words, I can't. Whenever the victim of learned helplessness is offered an opportunity, possibility, or new goal, he immediately responds by saying, I can't. Whatever it is, he always has a self-limiting reason that immediately slams on the brakes of his potential. It short-circuits any attempt or desire to set a new goal or to change things in any way. Learned helplessness is usually caused by destructive criticism in childhood, negative experiences growing up, and failure experiences as an adult. The way you get over this natural tendency to sell yourself short is by setting small goals, making plans, and working on them each day. As you become more confident in yourself and your abilities, you can set even larger goals. Eventually, with a record of successes behind you, it won't be long before you become unstoppable. The second mental obstacle that you need to overcome is the comfort zone. Many people become complacent with their current situations. They become so comfortable at a particular job, relationship, salary, or level of responsibility that they become reluctant to make any changes at all, even for the better. Don't let this happen to you. The way that you get out of your comfort zone and break loose from learned helplessness is by setting big, challenging goals. You then break these goals down into specific tasks, set deadlines, and work on them every day. Once you've made a list of all the obstacles that are standing in the way of your achieving your major goals, organize the obstacles by priority. What is the largest single obstacle? If you could wave a magic wand and remove one major obstacle from your path, which one obstacle, if removed, would help you the most in moving ahead more rapidly? When you ask the question with regard to your goal, why am I not there already? What answer comes to mind? What is holding you back? What is holding you back? What is standing in your way? It is at this point that you have to drill down to determine the correct obstacle before you begin taking steps to remove it. You do this by asking the question, what else could be the problem? After each definition of the problem, by identifying the constraints or reasons that you are not achieving your personal income goals. Each definition leads to a different set of solutions. They require that you think in different ways. In your personal life, it's the same. The accuracy with which you identify the obstacles or bottlenecks that are holding you back will determine the appropriateness of the various steps that you can take to remove or alleviate those obstacles. Start off by stating the problem in this way: I am not earning enough money. So what else is the problem? Maybe the answer is, I am not contributing enough value to be worth more money. What else could be the problem? Maybe it's, I am not good enough at what I do to be capable of getting results that are worth more than I'm earning today. What else could be the problem? Well, you could say, I don't use my time efficiently enough during the workday. What else could be the problem? You could say, I spend my evenings watching television, my weekends socializing, and I seldom read or learn anything that would help me to be better at my job. Now you have found the real problem. Now you have a clear idea of what you have to do differently if you're going to solve your original problem, which was to earn more money. Once you've determined the major obstacle that is holding you back, rewrite that obstacle that is holding you back. Rewrite that obstacle as a positive goal. You then make a list of all the things that you could do to upgrade your knowledge and skills, improve your time management, increase your efficiency and effectiveness, and make more sales for your company. You set deadlines and measures next to each step in your strategy to achieve excellence in your field. You then select one key task and take action on it immediately. From then on, you hold your own feet to the fire. You discipline and drive yourself to do the things that you need to do to become the kind of person you need to become in order to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. By following through on your resolution, you virtually guarantee your ultimate success and the achievement of almost any goal you can set for yourself. If you have any questions or concerns about the accuracy of your problem definition, discuss it with someone you know and trust. Put your ego aside, invite honest feedback and criticism, and be open to the possibility that you have fundamental flaws and weaknesses that are standing in the way of your realizing your full potential. Be brutally honest with yourself. Once your problem or obstacle is clear to you, ideas, opportunities, and answers will come to you from various sources. You'll begin to attract into your life all kinds of resources that will help you to overcome the obstacle or difficulty, either within yourself or within the situation around you, and move you more rapidly towards your goal. For every problem or obstacle that is standing between you and what you want to accomplish, there is a solution of some kind somewhere. Your job is to be absolutely clear about what sets the speed at which you achieve your goal, and then to focus your time and attention on alleviating that constraint. By removing your major obstacle, you will often make more progress in a few months than the average person might make in several years. Now, here are 3 things you can do immediately to put these ideas into action. 1. Identify a major goal of yours and then ask, why aren't I there already? What is holding me back? List everything you can think of. 2. Identify the constraint or limiting factor in yourself, but a situation that sets the speed at which you achieve your goal. 3. Develop several definitions of your major problem or obstacle. Keep asking, what else is the problem? And be prepared to follow where the answer leads you. Hello, dreamers and doers. Today we embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, a journey that promises to unlock the boundless potential within you and propel you towards extraordinary success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a creative artist, or a determined individual with big dreams, the message we'll explore today is clear. You're going to surprise the world with your success. In a world often plagued by doubt and uncertainty, it's easy to lose sight of our own potential and the impact we can make. But today I invite you to cast aside those doubts and embrace a new paradigm, one where your success knows no bounds and your potential knows no limits. You see, each and every one of us possesses within us the seeds of greatness, unique talents, passions, and strengths waiting to be unleashed upon the world. And while the journey to success may be filled with challenges and obstacles, it is also rich with opportunity and possibility. As we journey together today, I encourage you to envision the remarkable future that awaits you. Picture yourself achieving your wildest dreams, making a profound impact on the lives of others, and leaving an indelible mark on the world, because, my friend, that future is not just a possibility, it's a certainty. So, are you ready to embrace your potential and surprise the world with your success? If so, let's embark on this transformative journey together and unleash the greatness that lies within you. It's not what happens to you in life that determines how you feel. It's how you respond to what happens. Two people can have the same experience, but one will overcome it and let it go, forget about it, and move on with their day or their life. The other person will be devastated, angry, resentful, often unhappy for an extended period of time. The same event, two different reactions. Your natural state is to be happy, healthy, joyful, and full of emotions for being alive. You should wake up every morning eager to start the day. You should feel wonderful about yourself and the relationships in your life. As a mature, functioning adult, you should do things every day that allow you to progress toward realizing your full potential. You should be grateful for all your blessings in every area of your life. If this isn't the case, it's because you're not thinking correctly about life. Fortunately, what you'll learn today in this video can be very helpful in getting you back on track. Get comfortable and share this video on your social networks. Let's get started. How to find opportunity in a crisis. In a crisis, Brian Tracy gives meaning to everything you see. Nothing is, but thinking makes it so. Shakespeare. The fastest way to transform from negative to positive and free yourself from unhappy experiences of the past is to decide to see your past in a different way. When you practice the law of the situation and exchange a positive thought for a negative one, your emotions change almost instantly. Many people spend decades complaining about things their parents did when they were growing up. That was true in my case. I remember once when I was 3 and a bit years old and was out with a young woman during dinner, I started to remember and complain about my father for the mistakes he made with me during my childhood. The young woman, quite clever, stopped me and asked, "Brian, are you glad to be alive?" I said, "Of course, I really enjoy my life." She then said, "Well, your father brought you here, so stop complaining." I remember being momentarily stunned and then realizing that she was right. From that day on, I never complained again. No matter what your parents did, they brought you here. They gave you the greatest gift of all, your life. You can always be grateful to them for that. Here's an exercise for you. Imagine that somewhere in the universe, there's a great power that loves you and wants the best for you. This great power wants you to be happy, healthy, and fulfilled. It wants you to be successful and prosperous. This great power also knows that you can reach higher levels of happiness, joy, and pleasure only by learning certain essential lessons along the way. And it knows that you have a perverse nature. You won't learn unless it hurts. You can't learn from reading or watching others' experiences. You can only learn when you feel physical, emotional, or financial pain. It takes pain to get your attention, so you can learn the lessons you must learn. Therefore, in order to teach you, train you, and guide you toward your higher good, this great power sends you lessons, each accompanied by pain, so you listen, pay attention. Norman Vincent Peale once said, "When God wants to send you a gift, he wraps it in a problem. The bigger the gift God wants to send you, the bigger the problem he wraps it in." When you view each problem or difficulty you have in your life as containing some kind of gift, you begin to see things differently. The challenge for most people is that they experience the pain, but they're so busy complaining and blaming others that they never see the gift. Think about all the problems you have in your life right now. Now imagine that you've been sent this big problem that contains a gift in the form of a lesson you need to learn so you can be happier and more successful in the future. What is that lesson? One of the most powerful ways to change your thinking and your life is to seek the valuable lesson in every problem or difficulty you encounter. The most amazing thing is that if you look for a lesson in a setback or difficulty, you'll always find at least one lesson, and sometimes many more. This video is about how to learn to find that gift that God puts in every problem. So below, you'll find an exercise that will help you with this. Pay attention and put it into practice. Exercise. List 3 setbacks or temporary failures you have experienced in your life. Now you can reinterpret them and see them as learning experiences. What valuable lessons was the great power trying to send you? When you think about your biggest problem today, which usually involves another person, ask yourself, what is the lesson I must learn from this problem or difficulty? Your first response will usually be simple and superficial. Perhaps it should be more of this or less of that. But now comes the most important part. Ask yourself, what else is the lesson I must learn in this situation? Go deeper this time. The lesson will be more significant and meaningful, if not painful. Maybe you need to start doing something different or completely let go of something. Then ask again, what else is the lesson I must learn? You go even deeper. As you continue asking this question, the lessons will become increasingly relevant and helpful, and often also more painful. Finally, if it's a significant problem in your life that you've been struggling with for a long time, you'll reach the true lesson you need to learn. Typically, you need to change, move away from something, or remove it from your current life. Language is very important in this area. The words you choose to interpret an event can trigger positive or negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, and reactions. Words can make you happy or sad, encourage or discourage you, excite or depress you. One of the fastest ways to change your mind from negative to positive when something goes wrong is to change your vocabulary. For example, instead of the word problem, use the word situation. A problem is negative, immediately evoking images of loss, delay, and inconvenience. But the word situation is neutral. When you say, here we have an interesting situation, there is no negative emotional charge associated with the word. As a result, you remain calm, clear-headed, and more capable of facing any situation. An even better word is challenge. Instead of reacting to a difficulty as if it were a problem or a personal attack against you or your business, say, we have an interesting challenge to face. A challenge is something you rise to. It brings out the best in you. It's positive and uplifting. We eagerly anticipate challenges that make us expand and become better by overcoming them. The best word to describe a problem is opportunity. Instead of thinking of problems or difficulties, from now on, talk about unexpected setbacks in your life as challenges or opportunities. An opportunity is something we all want and eagerly await. It's amazing how many of your best opportunities first appear as problems and difficulties. Many people have experienced what's called a near-death experience. Usually in the midst of surgery, they die. Their heart stops and their brainwave activity ceases. Fortunately, the miracles of modern medicine resuscitate them and bring them back to life on the operating table. Many of these people have reported a similar experience after they died. First, they saw themselves dead on the operating table with doctors and nurses struggling to revive their body. The second thing these people report is a tremendous sense of peace and relief. Nothing in their previous life seems important. They are never again fully relaxed and experience a sense of bliss. Thirdly, they report seeing a distant bright light that begins to move faster and faster as they move toward this light. The feeling of peace, happiness, and euphoria increases. They feel completely relaxed and in harmony with the universe as the light becomes brighter and brighter. The fourth common occurrence reported by people who have gone through a near-death experience is that, on the other hand, they are asked two questions. What have you learned in this life, and how you have increased your capacity to love in this life? Back at the operating table, the surgical staff resuscitates the body and brings it back to life. Suddenly, the person feels as if they are being sucked back, away from the light, at an increasing speed. In a way, everything turns black. The next thing people remember is waking up in a hospital room with family members and medical staff surrounding them. So, now we know at the end of your life there is a final exam. We even know the questions on that exam throughout our lives. One of the main goals is to develop excellent answers to those questions. This is the big business of life, having these good answers. What have you learned, and how has your capacity to love increased? On the other hand, I want to talk to you about how important the power of positive thinking is. Indeed, the idea that your mind can change your world seems too good to be true. I can assure you, however, that I have experienced and witnessed the good that having a positive mindset can bring. Both positive and negative thoughts are powerful, but they have opposite outcomes. Today, I want to talk to you about how both can impact you and how the power of positive thinking can truly transform every aspect of your life. Positive thinking means you seek solutions and expect to find them. You don't ignore problems, but instead of complaining about them or letting them dominate you, you actively seek ways to overcome them. You take constant responsibility for your life because you understand that you are in control of how your life progresses. A positive thinker finds the benefits or the silver lining in challenges and expects things to turn out well. Having a positive attitude means you have an optimistic outlook. An optimistic attitude means you have hope, believe things will turn out well, and ultimately, you will succeed. Scientists have been studying the health benefits of positive thinking for a long time. Research suggests that positive people have better mental and physical health and even live longer. Having a positive outlook can reduce the risk of having a heart attack, catching a cold, and being depressed. Positive thinking can reduce a person's risk of dying from serious illnesses, such as cancer, infections, heart disease, strokes, and lung conditions. It improves the outcomes for patients with brain tumors and traumatic brain injuries and boosts their immune system. A positive mental state even gives you a higher pain tolerance. When you have a positive outlook, you are better equipped to face stress and difficulties, think more creatively, and are better at problem solving. Thinking positively puts you in a better mood, so you can build positive relationships with coworkers, family members, friends, and new acquaintances. How is a positive mindset recognized? People with positive attitudes tend to have a healthy lifestyle, smile more, are more pleasant to be around, and are calmer under pressure. Someone with a more positive outlook is often willing to try new things, has higher self-esteem, loves to laugh, and points out the silver lining in every dark cloud. A positive outlook is contagious, and people with a positive outlook cannot help but share it with those around them. Positive thoughts are always kind to people and do not speak negatively about themselves or others. People with more positive thoughts have better coping skills and know how to handle stress better, doing things like exercising more frequently and having a healthier diet. Now, as we continue our exploration into the power of positive thinking, let's delve into practical strategies for transforming negative self-talk into uplifting affirmations. As Brian Tracy aptly emphasized, our internal dialogue plays a pivotal role in shaping our attitudes and outlook on life. Indeed, the words we speak to ourselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, have a profound impact on our self-esteem and overall well-being. By replacing pessimistic thoughts with positive affirmations, we can cultivate a mindset of resilience, optimism, and self-belief. But how exactly can we shift from negative to positive self-talk? Brian offers us some invaluable insights and techniques to help guide us on this transformative journey. Instead of dwelling on our limitations and past failures, we can choose to focus on our potential and future successes. By adopting a mindset of growth and possibility, we empower ourselves to overcome obstacles with courage and determination. As Brian so eloquently puts it, we should strive to be our own biggest cheerleaders, celebrating our progress and learning from our setbacks along the way. So the next time you catch yourself succumbing to negative self-talk, remember that you have the power to reframe your thoughts and beliefs. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" dare to ask, "What if I succeed?" Embrace the possibilities that lie ahead, and watch as your positive attitude propels you towards greater heights of success and fulfillment. When you have positive thoughts, you don't allow your conscious or subconscious mind to entertain negative thoughts or doubts. Positive thoughts can literally be the key to success. After you learn to think positively, you'll notice amazing changes around you. Your brain will actually start operating in a state of feel-good hormones freely flowing called endorphins, which will make you feel lighter and happier. You'll also notice a significant boost in confidence and feel more capable of taking on new tasks and challenges that may have previously been outside your comfort zone. By reducing your self-limiting beliefs, you'll effectively release your brakes and experience growth like you never imagined. Essentially, you can change your entire life simply by harnessing the power of positive thinking. And as we bring our journey to a close, let us take a moment to reflect on the incredible potential that resides within each and every one of us. Today, we've explored the idea that you are destined to surprise the world with your success. And indeed, that destiny is within your grasp. As you move forward on your path to greatness, remember that success is not a destination but a journey defined by courage, resilience, and unwavering determination. Along the way, you may encounter obstacles and setbacks, but know that each challenge is an opportunity for growth and learning. Believe in yourself, trust in your abilities, and never underestimate the power of your dreams. For it is through perseverance and perseverance alone that we can overcome the odds and achieve the extraordinary. So, as you venture forth into the world, carry with you the unwavering belief that you are capable of achieving greatness. You have the talent, the passion, and the drive to make a profound impact on the world around you. Embrace the challenges that lie ahead, for they are the stepping stones to your success. And remember, the world is waiting to be surprised by the remarkable achievements that only you can bring to life. Thank you for joining me on this inspiring journey. May you continue to chase your dreams with courage and conviction, and may your success serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration to all those around you. Now go forth and surprise the world with your greatness. Your destiny awaits, and the world is ready to be amazed by all that you will achieve. The rules for achieving financial independence are simple. The rules are as follows. Rule number 1 is spend less than you earn. 5 words. And then save or invest the difference. This has always been the case. This is the key to financial success. Going back to The Richest Man in Babylon by Clayson more than 2,000 years ago. You can be a blithering idiot at an average job, working at a gas station or on a farm or driving a truck at an average wage. But if you save $100 a month on average from age 20 to age 65 and let it accumulate, you'll be worth more than $1 million. $100 a month, $25 a week, or less than $4 a day. How about the same amount as buying a latte coffee at Starbucks? Can you do that? Okay, well, do lots of other things, but do that for sure. Now, rule number 2 for achieving financial independence is that 10% of every dollar you earn is yours to keep. What this means is that you need to develop a habit from the beginning of your career and throughout of cutting 10% off the top of your salary and living on the other 90%. Most people get their paycheck and they spend most of it. If there's anything left over, they throw it in the bank temporarily, and then they grab it out and spend it on something else. They look at their bank account and shout, "Gee, we've got money here. Let's burn it." Some people have just got to get rid of the money. Rule number 3 is to resolve in advance to prefer financial independence to status. The work in The Millionaire Next Door found that the mark of self-made millionaires is that they weren't concerned about impressing the neighbors or keeping up with the Joneses. They were more concerned with financial independence and by looking good on the outside, at least until they became wealthy. So say to yourself, financial independence is number 1 to me, and status is number 1 to me, and status is number 2 or 3 or 4 or 10. Then be willing to stick to it. It's absolutely amazing what will happen to you financially. Do you know what we found out about self-made millionaires? They never buy new cars. Why? Why? Because in a new car, there's several $1,000s of depreciation. That's money that you lose the minute you drive it off the lot. So what self-made millionaires do, based on interviews with thousands of them, is they pick a car they really like. They follow it in Consumer Reports and J-Power for quality and service, and then about 2 to 3 years out, they look for used models with low mileage and good service records. And then they buy a car that 20 to 25% in depreciation has already been taken out of. I've worked with a man once who started with nothing and achieved a net worth of $800 million. Now he lived in a nice, normal neighborhood, with doctors and lawyers and architects, but not ostentatious. But the people living on either side of him were just 2 paychecks away from homelessness. If their income was cut off for 2 months, they wouldn't be able to make their mortgage payments. I watched this guy. He drove the same used car for 3 or 4 years. He liked Cadillacs. He'd get a nice Cadillac, take good care of it, then he'd get another used or loaner vehicle from a dealership so that it had already been depreciated. He was never ostentatious at all. And he ended up one of the richest men in America. When you met him, he'd be wearing an old sweater. He didn't have a huge wardrobe, wore the same suits to meetings, and he had no bills at all. But when he wanted to go somewhere, he'd fly in his private $25 million jet all by himself. Now, back to the last rule for achieving financial independence. Rule number 4 is once you put the money away, never touch it. Now, this is important. So if you're writing it down, write it in red. You see, many of us make the mistake of thinking that if you save money, you put that money away so you can have it. It's fun money. So when you decide, I want to buy a car, or I want to go on a trip, I want a boat, I want to go on a trip, I want a boat, I want a motorhome, you go and you get this money that you saved. However, if you want to spend money on those things, set up a separate savings account. This money is for your financial security. This is your financial freedom fund. Once you put money into this financial freedom account, you lock it in like a one-way door. It goes in and it never comes out. You never comes out. You never spend it. I can tell you all kinds of stories about how this will change your life, including in my life. But please believe me, once you put it away and decide that you will never spend it, as far as you're concerned, it's gone forever. I personally will do whatever is necessary, no matter what my financial emergency is, to not touch my financial fortress. Never touch it, because if you even think, even a tiny glimmer that you can get it if you need it, then you'll find yourself needing it at the first opportunity. So the key to financial success is pay yourself first. Save 10 of your account. Buy used things rather than new. And once you put money away, never touch it. Put it away and let it stay there until it accumulates and enables you to do anything you want in life. Today, in America, it's a little different because of the state of the economy, and of course, you bought low and sold high, but very few of us did that. 10 to 20% per year after taxes and expenses in terms of growing your net worth is a pretty good goal, and it's ultimately achievable. So write down 5 figures representing your target net worth over the next 5 years. It seems remarkable, but the fact is that the starting point of increasing your income or your net worth is very simple. Can you guess what it is? Decide to do it. Make a decision to become financially independent. You say, well, it's not that simple. Well, it is that simple. It's just not easy, but it is simple. The primary reason that people don't succeed in life or finances is because they never decide to and then back up that decision with determination. Now, there are a lot of things you can do after you've made a decision. There are very few things you can do before making a decision, or without making a decision, or without making a decision. So make that decision. Your decision may be wrong or it may be inaccurate, but at least it's a great starting point. It's like drawing a line in the ground that you step over. But what if I don't get it by such and such a date? Don't worry about it. At least get it on paper and take the first step. Once upon a time, when I started my career, I sat down at the end of the year and my tax returns were $14,400. 12 years later, I sat down and did my tax returns, and my tax returns were $1,440,000. I'd increased my income by 100 times in 12 years. And I went back and I started to look at that, and I realized that I'd used a formula, which I gradually articulated into what I call the 1,000% formula. And it's very simple. It's based on the law incremental improvement. Japanese call it the Kaizen principle, the principle of continuous betterment. It's getting a little bit better every day. So I asked the question, if you could increase your productivity, performance, and output by 0.1% per day, could you do that? Could you increase your productivity, performance, and output by 1/1000th a day? And the answer is, of course. If you're even the tiniest bit more efficient, or you worked a little bit harder on a more important task, you could become 0.1% better in a day. Well, if you did that every single day for a week, you would be 0.1% times 5. You'd be 0.5% more productive in a week. Is that possible? Of course, you would say anybody can become that small amount more productive. So I said, if you did that every week for 4 weeks, you'd be 2% more productive over the course of a month. If you did that every day for 4 week months in a year, 52 weeks, you would be 26% more productive. Is that possible? And the answer is yes, because there is a thing at success called the momentum principle. That means that once you start going, it becomes easier and easier to keep going and to go faster and faster. So once you become 26% more productive in the course of a year, your overall output, your results, your income will go up by 26%. What happens is you start to get into the swing of it. You start to be more effective, more efficient. You get more things done. You start earlier, you work harder, you stay later, you set better priorities, and so on. So if you do this 26% each year for 10 years, you will be 10.04% better. And this is what happened to me, and it's happened to every single person I've ever worked with. Not long ago, I was in Seattle, and this young man came up to me. He's about 30. I met him when he was about 22. He was working in a used car lot in a small town outside of Portland. His name is Chris, and he came up and said, "Mr. Tracy, do you remember me?" I said, "Yes, Chris, of course. Nice guy, great personality." He said, "Well, you know the 1,000% formula that you taught to me many years ago?" I said, "Yes, I remember, because I've taught it to so many people." He said, "Brian, it doesn't work." I said, "It doesn't work?" He said, "It doesn't work." I said, "How do you mean?" He smiled and said, "It doesn't take 10 years. It only took me 7. He said, "Today he's earning 10 times what he was earning. 7 he is earning 7 years ago." He said, "I used it every day. It's absolutely amazing. I am making more money today in a week or a month than I was often making in a month or a year by using that formula." What I did personally is I used it once, increased my income 10 times, and then I used it again and increased my income 10 times more, 100 times in 12 years. And so can you. There are 2 great principles of wealth attainment, and they're both equally important to understand and implement in order to be successful and acquire wealth. The first principle of wealth creation is make compound interest work in your favor. Einstein said that compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Get that money in there and get it working for you. Interested Peter Lynch of Magellan said that it's not timing the market that makes you rich. It's timing the market that makes you rich. Remember, if you invested $1 at 3% at the time of Christ, you'd be worth all the money in the world today with compound interest. Compound interest is phenomenal, so make it work in your favor by getting the money in there early and leaving it there to work. The second principle of wealth creation is to use dollar cost averaging. When you buy stocks, don't worry about being right every time or getting the lowest price when you buy. It doesn't really matter unless, of course, stocks are overpriced at the end of a boom. But if you invest a steady amount of money every week or every month or every year, then you'll end up buying things at the average price. The prices will go up and down, but you'll end up buying them high, buying them low, buying them average, and over time you'll get the very best average deal. Dollar cost averaging is one of the great techniques for financial success. Now, here's an example of dollar cost average investing. Steady, 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 year after year. I have a good friend who came over here as an immigrant at the age of 17. Couldn't even speak English. So he began to learn English. And when he was 20 years old, he could speak enough English to begin studying financial success and going to college. Well, I had dinner with him not long ago. He had a 4-acre property and a 16,000 square foot home in a beautiful community on the East Coast. He's worth millions of dollars today. He owns banks and shopping centers and national corporations. Here's what happened. When he was 20, someone told him that real estate is the key to financial success. They're not making any more of it. You should own real estate. Well, he never thought about that, and at that time he was a student and didn't have very much money. But he was working evenings and weekends to pay for his needs, which is what they used to do in those days. So he decided he would buy one piece of property each year. His first piece of property was in a small community outside of town, and it was a lot, and it cost $25 a month to service it. He had to sweat. It's to make those monthly payments, but his goal was to buy one piece of property a year, and he kept on doing it. He's now 49 years old. And the last piece of property he bought last year was a $225 million shopping center. He still buys one property a year, only now they're much, much bigger. The skill and experience and discipline that he developed over time in buying those properties, which got bigger and bigger, made him a millionaire and then a multimillionaire. So what's your excuse? What's our excuse? We're surrounded by hundreds, thousands, even millions of these stories. What is our excuse? It's always one thing. What is it? It's lack of discipline. So remember the 2 great principles of wealth creation. Making compound interest work for you by getting the money in there and working and using dollar cost averaging, whether it's buying stocks or real estate. Next is maximize. Determine your special talents, abilities, and strengths, and focus on developing them to a higher level. Then, multiply is to leverage yourself and your business with other people's customers, other people's knowledge, other people's abilities, other people's efforts, other people's money, and other people's resources. Now, you've heard the old saying, it takes money to make money. Yes, that's true, but it doesn't have to be your money. It could be somebody else's money. All successful people have developed the ability to call on the money of others. Why? It's because they do good work, and they do good planning, and they take good care of their money, and people line up to give them money. There's now trillions of dollars of money waiting. I have a good friend, one of my business partners, mostly a multi-millionaire, started with nothing, and he's worth tens of millions of dollars. He's sitting on a pool of money that he keeps at very low levels of interest. He said, I can't find a place to put it, and I will not put it until I find a place. If somebody could come along with any kind of a business proposition where the person has credibility and a track record and has a good business proposition, there's more money available than you can dream of. The money is there in torrents, like tsunamis of money that are available. That's why you're reading the paper. You read that and such company just paid $1. $8 billion or $2, 6 or 9. 9, or Google just offered Groupon $6 billion cash for their business. There's lots of money for good business ideas, but it doesn't have to be your money. It can be somebody else's money, and your ability to attract that money and to justify it is really important. Strategic planning is an essential part of the success formula. Your ability to create a clear and organized strategic plan will largely contribute to your success and wealth. In fact, it's virtually impossible to succeed greatly unless you have a clear idea of where you're going and how to get there. So, here are 3 key factors to remember when devising a strategic plan. Number 1, you are in business for yourself. This means that everything that is ever going to happen to your personal success, corporation, your personal business is up to you. No one else can be expected to do it for you. Now, here's a perverse law. The more that you accept that you are responsible for doing whatever it is, the more others will line up to help you. So therefore, you say these words, if it's to be, it's up to me. Number 2, your aim in strategic planning is to increase your return on energy. Why call this row return on energy? The purpose of strategic planning in business is to increase return on equity. Return capital working in the organization. But your capital is mental, emotional, and human. Your job is to get the most out of your mental, emotional, and intellectual capital. Your job is to get the highest return on energy. My friend Ken Blanchard says, you want to get the highest return on the amount of your life invested in your work. Number 3, successful individuals also have good personal strategic plans, because a good strategic plan assures that you will get the highest return on the amount of energy that you invest in anything you do. A positive attitude is like a chicken and egg thing. If you're successful, you're positive. If you're positive, you're successful. Which comes first? It doesn't really matter. Positive thinkers are men and women who accomplish an awful lot more than people who have negative mental attitudes. Your job is to become thoroughly positive and constructive towards yourself, your possibilities, the world around you, and the people in your life. The way you do this is very much the same way you develop physical fitness. We know that you can't see the results of mental fitness in the same way you can see physical fitness, but you can see the results of it. Mental fitness comes from following a specific exercise program, doing things in a certain way every single day. It's much easier than going to a gym and sweating and working out. So I'm going to ask you to do this for me. I'm going to give you 7 steps, 7 things that you can do, 7 things that have been proven to work. What I'm going to ask you to do is practice these 7 steps for 21 days. The reason for this is that it takes 21 days to develop a new habit pattern of any kind. If you work on a habit pattern and practice it every day, you begin to develop new neural grooves in your brain that cause you to think and act more optimistically automatically. You wake up in the morning feeling better, more positive toward the challenges you face during the day. You become more optimistic in the face of adversity. You start to become a more confident and optimistic person. When you do, you'll find your whole life opening up around you like sunshine on a bright morning. This is the great rule of success. Number 1 is positive self-talk. Positive self-talk has been getting very good press in the last little while. Positive self-talk means that you talk to yourself and make sure that your thoughts are on what you want and off of the things that you don't want. Successful people, positive people, are people who explain things to themselves in a positive way. They say, well, that's an interesting situation, or that'll work out okay, or don't worry about it. The second part of positive self-talk is to control your inner dialogue, to control what's happening inside you, and to be aware that the average person, if they're not careful, will have a tendency to be negative. Remember, 95% of your feelings are determined by the way you talk to yourself. It's absolutely essential that you talk to yourself the way that you want to be outside. What you see in your relationships, your health, your work, your customers, and so on, tend to be a result of the pictures you have inside. If you see yourself and think about yourself as an extraordinary person, if you see yourself as a success, if you see yourself as happy and positive, confident and in control, if you see yourself as a loving parent or spouse, you will act that way toward others. Your subconscious mind controls your reticular activating system, or your reticular cortex as well. If you interview successful people, it's a very interesting thing. If you interview successful people and you ask them on a regular basis, what do you think about? What are you thinking about now? You find that successful people are always thinking constructive, positive, creative thoughts that help them to be more successful. Now, if you think about positive, constructive, success-oriented, happy things, you start to have more of those in your life. The fourth part of mental programming, the fourth part is positive people. We have a tendency to adopt the words, the actions, the behaviors, the mannerisms, the dress we associate with most of the time if we're not very careful. Get away from negative people, get around positive people, associate with winners in your life. The fifth part is positive training and development. Most of your success is going to come from other people. Most of your success is going to come from someone who helps you, and people like to help other people who are good at what they do and who are pleasant and easy to get along with. Wait an hour a day, 30 to 60 minutes every day will make you one of the greatest authorities in your field in a couple of years. Listen to educational and uplifting audio cassettes in your car. When all knowledge and skills are becoming obsolete, it's the ability to learn new things at a rapid rate. So dedicate yourself to lifelong continuous personal improvement. Number 6 is positive health habits. First of all, eat lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of whole grain products. Second of all, stop eating fats, sugars, and salts. Third of all, drink lots of water. And fourth of all, get lots of exercise. Walk, head on to an aerobic exercise program. Regular rest and recreation are absolutely critical to having high levels of physical energy, which gives you the optimism and confidence to be able to bounce when you face the adversities of daily life rather than breaking. The seventh key, the mental fitness. We call this a sense of urgency. There are many qualities that you can develop to be successful, but a sense of urgency is possessed by less than 2% of the population. These are the people who are almost magnets for opportunities. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my philosophy. I'm telling you, my life exploded into change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately with a little consideration of the refinement of your sale. By setting a better sale, refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from the day on. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next month to start this whole process immediately. Now, some people do so little thinking they don't even have their sale up. Now is the chance to change. Number 1 is velocity. My personal opinion, each person's personal philosophy. Here's the definition of success and failure. Sometimes the first year you say, well, I'm so healthy now. What difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You've got to be so smart that you look down the road and say, Will the errors in my present judgment of philosophy, what's that going to cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? I'm telling you, the money cost and the health cost and the success cost is too gigantic if you look down the road a little ways and say, are there errors in my current judgment? Like an apple versus a Hershey bar, is that just a good illustration of some of the rest of my errors in judgment? If it is, that's where I found myself at age 25. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I've got pennies in my pocket, I've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed. I'm behind on my promise. I used to think it was the community that was messed up and the country was messed up. The government was messed up. Then I found out what was really messed up was my own personal philosophy. My own errors in judgment in my own personal philosophy brought me in 6 years, pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well living in America as a 25-year-old American male with a family. Every reason to do well. Here's the formula for failure. Errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. Come on now, let me give you the secret to success. The formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day for 1 month starts the weakness, starts the disaster process. You can imagine what happened. Now, here's the formula for success. A few simple discipline practices every day, and you've started the whole new process called a whole new life. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. It's not only with your health habits, but with your money habits and with your communication habits, with your sales habits, management habits, and every other habit that you've got. If you start that process, eliminate the errors, and replace it with discipline practice, you can start this process of life change immediately after today. You don't ever have to be the same again. You don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What'll that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could, and you should, and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. I mean, don't might mean you're careless, won't probably means you're stubborn, and either one's called disaster. Now, how do you change all that the next 6 years? By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the economy was about the same. And prices were about the same. And everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. I started with my philosophy. I started mending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my teacher. And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life within a 6-year period. I was never the same, and I've kept up that process all these years. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors. That's called potential. Everybody has it within their vow. I didn't say, hey, as simple as an apple a day, as simple as a walk around the block. Why not start right there? If you don't start there, where else are you going to start? Might as well start where it's easy, then go to the more complicated, because you can't handle the complicated, the simple disciplines. How can you handle the complicated? Thank you. Hold on. There's number 2. Number 1, we're affected by philosophy. First major of the 5 major pieces. Number 2 is attitude. We're affected by how we feel. First, we're affected by what we know, decisions we make. Second, we're affected by attitude, how we feel. It's how you feel about the past. Got to have a good attitude about the past. Let the past be a schoolmaster to teach you not to threaten you, but to teach you. Next, it's how you feel about the future. Goal setting, the promise of the future, is an awesome effect on your life every day. Without a future well designed, we take hesitant steps. You know, do you have to have hesitant steps for 6 years? You can have driven into a corner, not boldly willing to go and take your portion, take your share. Next, it's how you feel about everybody else. Got to have a good attitude about everybody else because it takes everybody else to make a market. And here's the last one. That's how you feel about yourself. Understanding self-worth is the beginning. Self-worth should be easy. If one of us could do it, all of us can. If anybody can think it, we all think it. I can read. You can read. I can understand. You can understand. From where I came from, a few simple things. I didn't try revolutionized my life in 5 years. Is there anybody here that can't do it? Change from pennies to fortune? Change from Betty to something? Change from broke to rich? That's the attitude about yourself, so valuable. Okay, now in transforming our lives, we don't start with attitude. We don't start with inspiration. We start with education. Life change starts with education. You've got to be educated to the point of where you might have messed up. And all you've got to do is write down through the list. You don't need some teacher to come by and tell you. Be your own best teacher saying, hey, let me make a list of some places I've messed up. Because if you let this down, that probably affects the rest. And the answer is, that's true. So we don't start with inspiration. We start with education. What's the first education? If it isn't going well and you live in America, you have foreign countries. You say, well, the country's messed up. That's like cursing the soil and cursing the seed and the sunshine and the rain, which is all you've got. Don't curse the soil. You get your own planet. You can rearrange this whole deal. This one you've got to take like it comes. So, number 2 is attitude. Here was number 3, activity. This is the work part, the labor part, taking action. The activity is the miracle working piece. Miracle being something we don't quite understand how it works. Doesn't mean it doesn't work if you're willing to straighten it out. Here's one of the keys. It's called activity. It's called disciplines. Turning wisdom from your philosophy and inspiration, strengthening of attitude and faith, courage, commitment, all this stuff that comes from attitude. If you're willing to take these 2 qualities, philosophy and attitude, and invest them into activity, you can have a miracle. Anything short of that, no miracle. Wisdom doesn't perform a miracle. Attitude doesn't perform a miracle. The only thing that performs a miracle of increase is called equity. It's called putting wisdom and attitude into disciplined labor. This labor now can perform a miracle. And here are the 2 parts of the labor. 1, do what you can. Number 2, do the best you can. Can't give you better advice than that. Number 1, do what you can. You just got to go home and make a list after today. And here's the question to ask as you make this personal list. What am I not doing that would be easy to do that could greatly change my health, my wealth? What am I not doing? I'm neglecting it. Would be easy to do if you'll take care of your part. Call putting it into activity. Action works miracles. But here's how you get a miracle going for your life. Number 1, do what you can. Get a list of the stuff you could do and you haven't done. Postpone and start cleaning that up. You can't start at a better place for personal change. It'll affect your bank account, affect your future, affect your income, affect everything. You can't start a better life change process than cleaning up what you should be doing. The man says, well, my mother lives down in Florida. I should have written her 6 months ago. I just can't seem to get that letter written. I'm asking you to get that letter written. Clean that up and don't walk like other people walk. Don't postpone like other people postpone. You say, well, is it as simple as writing a letter? And the answer is yes. Where else would you start for life change, personal change? You don't need a big package to fall out of the sky. You don't need massive bombardment, pre-conscious, subconscious practice channeling. Find a 2,000-year-old guru. I mean, you don't need any of that stuff. Pass on all that. Kids are afraid of that stuff. Too much of it. You'll be out on a limb with Shirley. I mean, no. Pass on all this stuff. This stuff's too easy. This stuff's too simple. It's called taking action. Number 1, correct neglect, correct errors in discipline. Number 2, start setting up some disciplines. And if you'll do that, you'll perform a miracle. Now here's the second part of the miracle. Number 1 is do what you can. Here's number 2. Do the best you can. If that's not your philosophy, I would have to amend it. A guy slips in late. Company doesn't seem to mind. Slips out early. First one in the parking lot heading for happy hour. Stretches his break. Comes early for lunch, late back from lunch. Company doesn't seem to notice. Guy says, best as I can calculate, I'm putting in about a half a day's work and I'm collecting a full day's pay. And the guy says, I got it made. Little does he know is the seeds of his own disaster are already being sown by the weakness of his own personal philosophy. It's not the economy that's going to determine your next 6 years. It's your philosophy about labor, about activity, about miracle, about soil and seed, sunshine and rain. The economy, the banks, the money, the companies, the schools, and what's going on? It's your philosophy and your attitude, and then your ability to take action. All of that we call the process of life change miracle working. Here was number 4. Results. Every once in a while, you've got to take a measure to see how you're doing with these 3 pieces. Philosophy, attitude, activity. Now we take a measure called results. What are the results at the end of the day? The results at the end of the week? You can't let too much time go by without checking. When time goes by 6 years, I've been out there working. When I met my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, he said, "Well, Mr. Rohn, let's just go through a little summary here." He said, "In the last 6 years, how much money have you saved and invested? Let's go through a little tab list here. How much money have you saved and invested in the last 6 years?" I said, "What?" "0. He said, "You have messed up. You remember these notes." I like that. "Messed up?" He said, "Who sold you on that plan?" I thought, my gosh, the man's right. I'm a nice guy. I bought the wrong plan. What if you were 50 and broke? Right. Didn't need to change countries, bought the wrong plan. What a sad scenario that would be. Schoaf said, "These questions, let's go through some results." He said, "How many books have you read in the last 90 days? I said, "What?" 0. Wisdom of the world available. Change your life. Change your future. Wisdom of the world available. Develop any skill you want. Earn the kind of income you want. Have all the treasures you want. Equities you want. Relationships with your family that you want. Everything that you want available, and the wisdom of the world to help you get it. Haven't read any books in the last 90 days? My teacher said, "Mr. Rohn, you have messed up. I'm telling you. You've got the deal." Schoaf said, "Mr. Rohn, in the last 6 months, how many classes have you taken to improve your skills or to develop new skills? Go for the American dream. Become rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy and influential. How many classes have you taken in the last 6 months?" I said, "How many?" 0. He said, "You have messed up." Said, "You don't need to unmess the country. You don't need to straighten out the perplexed. You don't need to straighten out any of this stuff. All you've got to do is look within and let results teach you a great deal about your own activity, your own attitude, and your own philosophy." I went through that process. Here's all life asks us to do. Make measurable progress in reasonable time. Some things you've got to check every day. Some things you've got to check at least by the end of the week. A salesman joins us at a little sales company supposed to make 10 calls the first week. Wouldn't it be legitimate calling in on Friday and say, "John, how many calls?" I mean, this stuff is simple. John says, "Well," say, "John, well, won't fit in this little box here." Well, now John starts with a story. You say, "John, I made this little box so small so a story won't fit. I don't need a story. I need what? A number. What will a number tell me?" Everything. John's supposed to make 10 calls. What if he made 20? You'd say, "Wow." What if he only made 1 call? Will that tell us something about John's philosophy? And the answer is yes. Will it tell us something about his attitude? Of course. Will it tell us something about his disciplines? Of course. And if he wants a lesson in life change, all he has to do is be willing to face the numbers and come up with the results. That will teach you to either celebrate if you've got good results or fix whatever needs to be fixed in your philosophy, attitude, and activity, called disciplines. You don't need to go anywhere else. I do believe in affirmations. Now, if you need a little additional affirmation, you just put up there, "I'm 40 and broke." I mean, that ought to do it. And if you need just a little more, put up there, "I live in America and I'm 40 and broke." That's enough to turn your life around. It says, "Hey, something is wrong somewhere. I have messed up. And I'm telling you, if you'll start with that, it's called the process of life change. And it doesn't matter how small the process is to start. One discipline starts it, and then one discipline feeds another, and the first thing you know, you've got this whole cycle in an upward positive motion. It's called life change, called income change. It's called health change, relationship with your family change, equities unprecedented, that you can have in numbers that will stagger the imagination if you do not curse what's available and start amending what's possible to get the results that you want. Anybody can do this stuff. Results are the name of the game. Success is a numbers game. Good note to me said that it's a numbers game. You've got to go for the number. You've got to understand what the numbers are.